Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What if Naruto and Moka Akashiya were in love? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Pain. That was the only word that came to Naruto's mind when he woke up and felt the pain from his earlier battle erupt through his entire body. He looked around to see he was in a hospital room, alone. He had a bitter smile at this as he realized that once again when he was hurting, either physically or emotionally, he had no one to help him. His body was covered with bandages and he could barely move without feeling some kind of ache on his body, but he didn't let that get him down. No, because he kept his promise. He promised her to bring Sasuke back and he did. It just took some physical persuasion to make Sasuke see the error of his ways. Hopefully now he has proven himself. He kept his promise to Sakura. Now maybe the girl he loves will acknowledge him. He completed the mission given to him by the Hokage. Maybe now the village will see him as a reliable shinobi instead of the dead last, as they so eloquently call him. Maybe now he has proven he is a human being who works his hardest instead of the demon brat that they have labeled him as, and accept that he is not the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Acceptance. Such a funny word in the life of Naruto Uzumaki. Konoha is known as a village that treats everyone as family, all except for one boy. Naruto has lived his life alone, a constant life for survival as the villagers tried to end him. Is that how they treat family? Although he's not an expert, never really having a family, he's certain that the answer to that question would be, hell no. But he has accepted it as a part of his life, as just another obstacle to get over in order to achieve his dream. Just then the door opened, interrupting Naruto from his thought. He looked at the visitor to see the busty blonde Hokage. The older woman saw that he was awake and smiled in relief. Glad to see you're awake, she said as she approached his bedside. Glad to know you care, Ba-chan, he said with a cheeky grin as a tick mark appeared on her head. I'd suggest you watch what you say unless you want to extend your time in the hospital, she threatened as she waved her fist at him. Seeing this, he gulped in fear, deciding to keep his mouth shut. Well, now that you decided to keep quiet, there's something I have to tell you, Tsunade said with a frown. What? He asked, confused. You've been out for a few days. And something happened during that time, she said with a solemn look. What happened? He asked seriously. Whatever happened must be serious to get a look like that from Tsunade. While you and the others were still injured, Sasuke used that as an opportunity to escape again. I still had a shortage of shinobi, and with you guys unable to go out, we had no one to stop him, she answered sadly. Hearing this, Naruto gritted his teeth and clenched his fist. All that hard work for nothing. Where is he? I'll go get him back now, he said as he tried to get out of bed. The moment he moved, though, he felt a wave of pain that sent him back down. Settle down before you kill yourself, she sighed as she watched him struggle with the sheets of his bed. Fine. When did I get out of here? He asked as he glared at the sheets as if they were evil reincarnated. Tomorrow, I want you to stay here for the rest of the day just to be safe, she explained. Naruto didn't like the idea of staying in the hospital any longer, but he would just have to deal with it. And I want you to come to my office tomorrow when you're checked out, she added as she made her way out of the room. Naruto nodded to her as he lay on his bed trying to get comfortable. During the rest of the day he was visited by Jiraiya, Iruka, Kakashi, Shizune, Lee, Neji, Shikamaru and Choji, who stayed for a small chat until they left him to rest. He hadn't heard a thing from Sakura. Hokage office next day. Checking out of the hospital, Naruto made his way towards the Hokage tower. On the way there he noticed that nothing has changed. Despite his best efforts, people still glared at him with cold eyes, and he could still hear the hushed whispers of the demon brat being the reason why Sasuke left, or how the demon should have just died. He frowned at this for a second before putting the mask of the smiling idiot back on. He didn't want people to see it, but after all this time it still hurt. 13 years of this and nothing has changed. On the outside he wore a mask of a boy who didn't let anything get to him, but on the inside he was still a little boy crying for people to accept him. Why, I'm just like them, but they treat me like this, he thought to himself. That's the problem. You're not like them and you know it. You just don't want to accept it, a demonic voice said from his mind. Hearing this caused him to stop in his tracks. What? He asked as he found himself in the familiar sewers of his mind, looking inside the cage hosting the nine-tailed fox. You heard me. You're nothing like these humans, but you refuse to accept what you really are, the fox said, grinning. I am human. Just wait until I prove you wrong when I earn their respect, he thought bitterly, not liking what the fox was saying. Hearing this, the fox couldn't help but laugh. You still don't get it. No matter what you do, the village will always show you as a demon, and deep down you know it. Instead of fighting them, you should just embrace it and become what they've always feared. Instead of fighting against me, you should fight with me. With you. What the hell are you talking about? I may be a giant demon, but even I know when someone takes things too far. And the way these villagers treat you, a child, is definitely crossing the line. Sounds like you care, Naruto pointed out, surprised at what the fox demon said. Yes, spending all this time with you has made me a big old softy, the fox chuckled. Hearing this, Naruto couldn't help but find that amusing as well. Maybe ... but what was this whole thing about fighting you? When you use my chakra, you aren't using its pure form, the fox explained, confusing the blonde. What are you talking about? When you use my chakra, you are using a converted version of it. That's why it hurts when you use it, since the tampered chakra has a double-edged sword effect. If you were to use it at its pure form, you would be able to use it without the pain. to your form. Right, in its purest form it's called Yauki. It works just like chakra, but since you are human and because of the seal it is converted into a form of chakra that is more suitable for you, but because it was altered it has its drawbacks. How can I use it while it's still Yauki? Why, stop fighting me. Huh, the seal converts my Yauki and the seal is like an extension of your will. The only reason you haven't been able to access my Yauki is because you've worked so hard to resist me. But there is a side effect. By using my Yauki, it is as if you are fusing with a part of me. And that means that agreeing to fight with me by using my Yauki, you are pretty much agreeing to turning yourself into a kitsune human hybrid. It's like a way to say you've finally accepted that you will always be different. So you have two choices. Either you keep denying what you know is the truth and continue to live in a little fantasy world, or you accept it and stop living a lie. The fox explained as Naruto went silent, thinking over what the fox said. Just think about it, kid, but know this. You and I are going to be stuck together for some time, and I am sick of how these humans treat you. They have always called you a monster, but just think back to how they treated you and ask yourself who the real monster is. I guess, but why are you saying all is now? Like I said, you and I will be spending a lot of time together, so we might as well get along. The fox explained calmly. A clean start, Naruto thought. Thinking about it, the fox helped him out more than anyone, even if it was unintentional or merely for its own survival. Its chakra saved him on more than one occasion. Also, since the fox was a part of him in a way, so that meant that it knew him better than anyone. He didn't want to admit it, but he knew what the fox said was true. People will most likely see the demon somewhere when they look at him, and even if he earns their respect, he will always remember how they treated him. Maybe he should listen to the fox. He sighed as he had a lot to think about. Since we're starting over, do you have a name, or should I just keep calling you Fox? He asked, accepting the fox demon's peace offer. The fox was silent, not expecting this question. None of his previous containers ever thought to ask him his name. He had a small smile as he thought about the changes that were sure to occur in their lives. My name's Kurama, he introduced. Well, Kurama, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, nice to meet you, Naruto said with a grin as he extended his arm, his fist pointed towards the large fox. Amused, Kurama reached out of the cage and bumped his larger fist with Naruto's. Things were definitely going to be more interesting. Ending the mind link, Naruto continued his way towards the Hokage Tower as he kept replaying the fox's words. Hokage's office. Suin looked up from her desk, massaging her temple. She was not going to enjoy this at all. She sighed as she looked at the people gathered in her room. Currently standing in her room was her teammate Jiraiya, her apprentice Shizune, and the rookie 12 and their senseis. The group waited for the final member to join, expecting the blonde ninja to burst through the doors with a bundle of energy. They were surprised when Naruto quietly entered the room and were even more shocked when they saw a thoughtful expression on his face instead of his usual boyish grin. Getting over her shock, Tsunade cleared her throat to get everyone's attention so she could begin. As you know, Sasuke has, once again, left the village in an attempt to gain power for his revenge. Since you are from his generation, I thought it would appropriate to inform you of the situation. As of right now, Sasuke Uchiha is officially declared a missing nin. She explained. She expected a loud burst from two of the gathered people, but surprisingly there was only one. How can you say that, Hokage-sama? Sasuke-kun hasn't done anything wrong. Orochimaru brainwashed him with that curse mark thing. Sakura cried, appalled at the idea of her beloved being branded as a traitor. How could they even think of something like this? She would have continued, but noticed her blonde teammate was uncharacteristically quiet. Upset that he wasn't defending Sasuke like her, she confronted him. Naruto, didn't you hear her? Say something, Baka, she yelled. Having the attention pointed at him, Naruto looked Tsunade straight in the eye. Kurama is right. It's time to grow up and stop living in a pretend world, he thought as he made his decision. Releasing a sigh, he asked the Hokage, Sasuke is now a missing nin. What are your orders? Everyone was surprised at his question. They expected him to be outraged and demand Tsunade to reverse the decision. Coming out of his stupor, Jiraiya stepped in to answer the question. According to my spies, we have about 3 years until Orochimaru can use his jutsu to take Sasuke's body, so we have some time until we have to make our move. Seeing as he is a missing nin, I assume he is wanted dead or alive, right? He asked again, shocking everyone. Naruto knew this wasn't how people usually saw him, but he was tired of this. Sasuke was given too many chances in his book, and he blew it by betraying the village, which is punishable by death. I'm afraid not. Seeing as he is one of the last two Uchiha, the council has ordered he be brought back alive in hopes of gaining his loyalty again, Tsunade said regrettably. Hearing this, Naruto couldn't help but scoff. Figures the council would do something like that for their precious Uchiha, he said in the coldest voice anyone ever heard from him. Naruto, how can you say that? Are you seriously thinking about killing Sasuke-kun? Sakura yelled enraged before a thought occurred, and she narrowed her eyes at the blonde. I get it. You're doing this because you're just jealous of him. It's probably that petty jealousy that made Sasuke-kun leave, she yelled in an accusing manner. It's always like this. No matter what, she only thinks of Sasuke and blames me for something. To think I thought ever that things in this village would change. Kurama was right. It's about time I stopped pretending and accept that some things won't change, Naruto thought bitterly. Haruno, do us all a favor and shut up for once, he said, causing everyone's eyes to widen. They have never heard him talk to his precious Sakura-chan like that before. How dare you? The Pinkette yelled as she went to punch the blonde. He caught her fist easily and stared at her with cold blue eyes. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered, but just as shocked as the others. Listen well, Haruno, the next time you decided to attack me I will defend myself, he stated before shoving her hand away. Not liking this new attitude, she went for another punch, but Naruto sidestepped out of the way and punched her in the stomach. Her eyes widened as she fell on her knees, clutching her stomach in pain. Naruto, Kakashi shouted, seeing his two remaining students. I warned her, Kakashi-sensei. I was merely defending myself, he explained bluntly before turning his attention back to Tsunade. Is there anything else, Ba-chan? I'm afraid I have some bad news that concerns you, she said gravely as she addressed Naruto. This got his attention as he waited for her to continue. The council has some concerns about your unique situation, she said, with only him and the adults knowing what she meant. They would feel it best if you were suspended from your ninja duties for a year or so, she said, unable to look at him in the eyes. The room grew deathly silent as his words registered in everyone's mind. What? Naruto said quietly. They think it would be too dangerous for you to continue with all that has happened to you. They think you need a period of rest, she said, cursing inwardly. It was killing her to have to tell him this. Naruto, for his part, was seething in silence. He knew that this was nothing but a cover-up. He knew the council was afraid he would lose control of Kurama's chakra. He clenched his fist until his knuckles turned white. He was tired of this. The only thing he ever wanted was to prove he was loyal, and now they've taken his rights as a shinobi. That was the last straw. Enough was enough. He calmly walked over towards Tsunade's desk and silently took his forehead protector off. He took one final look at it before slamming it down on her desk, causing everyone to jump. They want me to have a period of rest. I'll do them one better. Think of this as my resignation, he said before turning around to take his leave. Naruto, wait. What are you doing? Tsunade asked, shocked. I decided. What's the point in serving a village that treats me like shit? I'm not going to betray the village and leave Konoha, but I'm done fighting for it, he said as he opened the door. What happened? Why are you acting like this all of a sudden? Jiraiya asked, concerned for his godson's attitude. Naruto stopped before he spared the room a final glance. What happened? I decided to stop pretending, he said cryptically before leaving the stunned group. 2 years later. Ever since Naruto stopped his shinobi duties, a lot has changed about him. Whenever anyone glared at him, he glared right back. The first few times he did this, the people were shocked. The demon brat never responded like that. People started to watch how they acted around him, realizing that if they push him too hard, he might push back harder, and that was something they definitely didn't want. Naruto rarely smiled in the village anymore. The only time he smiled was when he was at Ikaraku's, the privacy of his home, or the presence of his friends. They were another thing that changed. Ever since he returned his forehead protector, he rarely saw the rookie 12. During these 2 years, the only ones to visit, when they weren't on missions, were Shikamaru, Choji, Neji, Lee, Iruka, and Kakashi. He also received a visit from Jiraiya when he returned to the village, and received a call from the Hokage so he could catch up with Tsunade and Shizune. No one else even thought about visiting him. If they ever saw him on the streets, they would avoid looking at him and continue on as if they never saw him. Every now and then they would try to persuade him to become a shinobi again, but he would always tell them he wanted to try a peaceful life, hoping to find a purpose in life. The biggest change, though, was his relationship with Kurama. They started off a little rough due to their past interactions, but pretty soon they started to form a close bond. Since Naruto was no longer a registered shinobi, he couldn't use the training fields anymore. He trained within his mindscape. Kurama taught him how to utilize his Yauki, and as time passed, he felt the changes within him. He felt the demonic energy mix with his own as his body changed. His blue eyes were still the same intense blue, but now had black slits down the middle. His ears shifted to fox ears that poked through his hair. We grew past his ears, that were a red-orange color, and a fox tail of the same color. He was explained that the amount of tails a kitsune had was a testament of his power, with 9 being the highest. He learned how to use his Yauki to hide his fox-like attributes. While in the mindscape, he endured rigorous training. He learned that he had 2 chakra affinities. His natural affinity was wind. He learned a few techniques, but his favorite was surrounding his claws with wind chakra, increasing their power. His second affinity was fire, thanks to his kitsune half. Kitsunes were a natural when it came to fire, and having Kurama, who was considered a god amongst the kitsune, as a teacher was a definite help. He also trained on controlling Kurama's Yauki, now able to control 3 tails worth of it. His body and mind were not strong enough to handle anymore without suffering from a type of overload that could cause serious problems. Naruto and Kurama started off with a teacher-student relationship, but as time passed by, it soon evolved to a relationship close to that of brothers. It was interesting, really. Once Naruto stopped blaming Kurama, and once Kurama stopped trying to corrupt Naruto, the two found out that they rather enjoyed each other's company. They still annoyed each other now. Kurama could be rather sarcastic, and Naruto knew just what buttons to push to get the fox all riled up, but it was nice. The only thing that bothered Naruto was that he was tired. He was tired of this village. He didn't regret his decision, though he was a little sad that it caused the few people who still talked to him to frown whenever he refused to come back. He wanted to leave the village for a bit. He wanted to explore the world and try some new things, hoping to find some happiness that he couldn't find in the village that hated him. The answer came to him one day when he was going through his mail. He found an interesting letter from out of the village. Curious, he read it, and his eyes widened at what he read. Dear Uzumaki, I am pleased to inform you that you are invited to join Yakai Academy. By attending this school, not only will you receive an education, you will also gain once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. Please note that Yakai Academy is a boarding school, so you will be living there most of the year if you choose to join. By attending this school, not only will it help choose your path for your future, it will also give you the opportunity to interact with people from around the world. Please tell us your decision. The school year will begin in about 3 months. Tenmei Mikagami, the headmaster. Hey, what do you think, Kurama? Naruto thought curiously. Kurama read the letter through Naruto, and to be honest, he was just as interested as his container. We wanted to find a way to leave the village to see the world. This seems like the best opportunity. He mused. You're right. I'm not crazy about the whole school thing, but it sounds interesting. Yes, we better talk to Tsunade Ba-chan, he thought as he made his way out of the apartment heading towards the Hokage's office. Hokage's office. Once he made sure Tsunade was not in a meeting, Naruto entered her office. Once and he saw the Hokage herself, Shizune and Jiraiya. The three looked up to see Naruto enter the room. They saw that he had a serious look on his face and frowned. Whenever he had that look, they knew that whatever he had to say was important. Hey Ba-chan, pervy sage, Shizune-nichan, I have something to ask you, he said as he took his seat in front of them. And what would that be? Tsunade asked curiously. Naruto pulled out a piece of paper and handed it to her. Raising an eyebrow, she took it silently as she read the contents. Shizune and Jiraiya watched as her eyebrows rose higher and higher until she looked away from the letter and looked at Naruto. She handed Jiraiya the letter as he lowered it so both he and Shizune could read it. Once finished, they were both looking at Naruto just as surprised. Naruto, why are you showing this to us? Tsunade asked, not wanting to believe what she was thinking. I think you know Ba-chan. I would like to go, he said seriously. He knew they would be sad about him leaving, and truth be told, he would miss them too, but this was an opportunity that he couldn't miss. Why? Jiraiya asked. Like the others, he was hoping that Naruto would decide to become a shinobi again, but with this it seemed like a lost cause. Honestly, because my whole life I have been stuck in this village. I have been stuck in this village where adults hate me and teach their children to ignore me. Besides you three, Kakashi-sensei, Iruka-sensei, Lee, Shikamaru, Choji, and Neji, I'm all alone. By going to this school, it would give me a chance to see a world outside the village, a chance to interact with people my age who haven't been raised to ignore me, a chance to leave all this hatred. I'm not going to be gone forever ... but it could be nice to live a different lifestyle for a while, he explained. The three shinobi listened to him and couldn't help but agree. This could be a great opportunity for him. I see. I'm not crazy about the idea of you leaving the village, but you've given a reasonable argument. Alright Naruto, you can attend this school, but there are 2 conditions, Tsunade said. What are they? He asked, figuring that there would be some conditions he had to follow by. I want you to keep contact with us via toad summons, she stated. Okay, he agreed easily. Second, I want you to enjoy yourself while you're there, she said, smiling. The village won't be the same without you, but hey, this could be your chance to have the life you deserved, Jiraiya added with a smile. Thank you, Naruto said, smiling. They'll mail them your answer and get things settled. I'll take care of the paperwork needed for your departure, Tsunade said. Naruto nodded and thanked them again before leaving as he started his preparations for his departure. 3 months later. During the 3 months, Naruto packed everything of value to him. Once he left, he knew his landlord would sell his apartment the next day, so he made sure to bring anything important to him. He told his friends his decision, and although they were sad he was leaving, they supported his decision. Naruto didn't bother telling anyone else. He knew the word about his leaving would spread and that they would celebrate, but he didn't really care. His last night in Konoha, he had one final meal at Ikaraku's and thanked them for everything they've done for him. The morning of his departure, Naruto left his apartment and took a deep breath. Today was the day. Once graduating from the academy, he thought he was done with everything school-related, and yet here he was willingly going to a distant school. As he was walking, he couldn't help but frown at his uniform. A white-collared shirt, brown pants, and a green blazer. The only good thing about it was that he managed to find an orange tie. As he approached the village gates, he saw a few familiar faces. You didn't think we'd let you leave without seeing you off, did you? Kakashi asked as he put away his little orange book. Actually, that's exactly what I thought, Naruto said sheepishly. And I thought you knew us better than that, Iruka teased with a sad smile. Naruto, it is sad to see that this village has doused your flames of youth, but hopefully they will reignite at his new school of yours, Lee said, giving his signature nice guy pose. Just promise me that you'll never lose your flames of youth, Lee. Naruto chuckled as he extended his arm. Of course not, and I look forward to your return, my eternal rival, a green spandex ninja said as he shook Naruto's hand. Neji was next to walk up. When we first met, I let my misguided beliefs affect how I acted. That was a very rough part of my life, and it is thanks to you beating the truth into me that I was able to get over it. I hope you find what you are looking for on your journey, my friend, Neji said as he bowed in respect. I hope so too. Keep up the good work, Neji. I know one day you'll reunite you clan's main and branch family, Naruto said as he too bowed to his friend. You were the best ramen-eating partner ever. It won't be the same without you, Choji said, a sad smile on his face. Yeah ... make sure to visit Ikaraku's. Don't let their gift to the world be unappreciated. I'll make sure they put a plaque up in your honor, Choji said, chuckling softly before shaking Naruto's hand. Making me wake up this early. I knew you were troublesome, Shikamaru said, smiling. Stop wasting your smarts by being a lazy ass and actually do something. Naruto joked. Too troublesome. Still can't believe you're willingly going to a school. Shikamaru taunted with humor. You and me both, but here we are. Try not to cause too much trouble at your new school. Who, me? Naruto asked innocently. The two shared a laugh before giving their final came up next. I'm sad to see you go. You're the reason Tsunade-sama and I are even in the village, she said as she hugged the blonde. I don't know if I've ever shown it, but I am very thankful for you, Shizu Nichan. Thank you for being my sister, Naruto said, hugging her tightly. Thank you for being my brother, she said as she released her hold and wiped a few tears. Kakashi was the next who walked up. Kakashi-sensei, guess this is goodbye, huh? Yeah, listen Naruto, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to teach you much. He began, but Naruto held a hand up signaling him to stop. Don't worry Kakashi-sensei, you taught me enough, he reassured. Here's a little going away present, he said, handing a small box to the blonde. Thanks for everything sensei, he said as Kakashi rubbed his head affectionately. He turned his attention to Tsunade and Jiraiya. Although I met you guys later than everyone else, I want to thank you. I never had parents, but you two were like the mother and father I never had. Hearing this, Tsunade hugged the boy tight as she smiled with a few tears fell down. She was glad that Naruto felt that way about her. Never having children, she often thought the blonde knucklehead as her own son. Jiraiya was having similar thoughts. I'll miss you, Brett. Don't forget to give us a message every now and then, Tsunade said as she kissed his head before releasing him from their embrace. Here you go, Brett. Don't open it until you settle in your new place, the Toad Sage said as he gave 3 scrolls to Naruto. Thank you. I'll miss you both, he said softly. Uruka reached into his pocket and handed something to Naruto. I know that you're technically not a shinobi anymore, but you will always be one in my eyes, little brother, he said as Naruto looked at the forehead protector, the one Uruka gave him when he graduated and then gave to Tsunade. Clutching it tightly in his hands, Naruto jumped at the older man and hugged him tight as a few tears found its way down his cheeks. Uruka-sensei, I can't thank you enough for what you've done for me. I love you. Thank you so much, he said as he hugged the man he saw as an older brother and the first person to ever acknowledge him. Uruka couldn't help but cry a little himself. After the hug, they both wiped the tears away before sharing a similar smile. Guess this is goodbye, he said as a bus arrived. The door opened and he walked inside before taking one more look when he heard Jiraiya call out. Hey brat, while you're there, try and find yourself a nice girl, he said with a smirk as a blush found its way on Naruto's face. Yeah, I want some grandchildren to spoil, Tsunade added, her smile growing as the blush on his face grew to his ears. Shut up, he yelled, embarrassed as he heard the laughter before the door closed. He turned his attention to the bus driver but couldn't get a good look since his hat shadowed his eyes. Going to Yakai Academy, huh? It's a pretty scary place, you know, the bus driver said with an eerie voice. Maybe, but I can be pretty scary myself, Naruto replied with a grin as he made his way to his seat. Looks like we're on our way, Kurama's voice said through the mental link between the two of them. Looks like it, Naruto agreed as he rested his head against the seat and closed his eyes. This was it. He left Konoha and now he was starting a whole new chapter in his life. Tsukune Ano was sitting on a bench waiting for the bus to Yakai Academy to arrive. He was a totally average student with nothing that made him stand out. He had failed his high school entrance exam and had no choice but to attend this school that was in the middle of nowhere. He had no idea how his parents even found out about it. He heard the sound of a running engine and looked to see a bus stop in front of him. Sighing, he stood up and entered the bus as the doors opened. So you're attending Yakai Academy, huh? The bus driver said, his hat shadowing his eyes. Oh yeah, I am, Sukyun said while scratching his cheek sheepishly. Well, you better find a seat. I can guarantee that you've never been on a ride like this before, the bus driver said, chuckling. All right then, he said nervously as he surveyed the bus. He was all alone except for one other boy who appeared to be his age. He wore the same uniform as him but with an orange tie, and he had short spiky blonde hair. He couldn't see his eyes because the blonde seemed to be sleeping, but the strangest thing he noticed was that the boy appeared to have marks that looked like whiskers on his cheeks. He began to walk to a seat when the blonde began to stir. Rubbing the sleep out of his eyes, he looked around to reveal blue eyes. The blonde seemed to notice that he was no longer alone as he stared at Sukyun. Yo, he said, waving lazily before yawning as he stretched his stiff muscles. Hello, I'm guessing you're a student too, Sukyun guessed as he motioned towards the identical uniform. Noticing this, the blonde smiled a little before nodding. Yeah, first year, he said as Sukyun sat in the seat in front of him. Me too, I'm Tsukune Ano by the way, he introduced. Name's Naruto Uzumaki, the blonde responded as he stuck out his arm, which Sukyun shook. The two of them started a conversation trying to get to know one another. Naruto learned that Sukyun seemed to lack confidence in himself, as he repeatedly referred to himself as average or nothing special, but other than that seemed like a good person. Sukyun learned that Naruto was a bit guarded about some subjects like family and his home, but didn't say anything since everyone had their secrets. The one thing that the blonde talked enthusiastically about though was ramen. How he could about ramen that much though was a mystery to him. Sukyun rather liked the blonde. He seemed like a very energetic person but knew when to be serious. He was glad to have made a friend so soon. He had thought he would be alone during his time at the academy. Naruto was also pleased. Sukyun was his first friend in this new chapter of his life, and he wasn't judged or anything by the brown-haired boy. The one thing he found odd though was that he couldn't detect an ounce of chakra in his boy. That was very strange. Even if he was just a civilian, he should have some residue of chakra in him somewhere. He made a mental note to look into that later on. Suddenly the bus began to shake violently. They looked out the window to see that they just entered a tunnel. "You two better get ready," the bus driver said, gaining their attention. "As soon as we exit this tunnel, we'll be at the front of the school." He finished before turning back to them, showing his glowing eyes. "And a little warning, Moka Academy is a very scary school," he said as he began to laugh. "What's with this guy?" Sukyun thought as he began to sweat. A look in the bus driver's eyes and the way he spoke really freaked the poor boy out. Naruto, who had recovered from the bus's sudden shaking, just stared blankly at the man. "He's gonna have to do better than that if he wants to scare me," he thought before the demonic voice of Kurama entered his mind. "True, but can you imagine if his guy and the scarred-up guy from the Chunin exams worked together?" he asked curiously. Naruto thought back to Ibiki and his exam and the way the bus driver acted. "You're right, they'd be able to scare the crap out of anyone," he answered as the bus came to a stop. "Well, here we are," the bus driver said as he opened the door. Both Naruto and Sukyun grabbed their bags as they made their way out. Once outside, they looked at their surroundings and were surprised, not expecting what was in front of them. A good distance away they could see the school, but they also saw lightning flash behind it like in the horror movies, and there were a few dead trees around with some crows staring at them. "Well, you two better be careful," the bus driver said casually before driving away, leaving the two boys behind. Getting out of his stupor first, he yelled out at the retreating bus. "Wait a minute, what kind of place is this?" he shouted, but was answered with silence. He took another look at his surroundings, slightly shivering. This is where we're going to school. It's like another world compared to outside the tunnel," he said more to himself, but Naruto heard him. "Another world? That could explain why I can't feel chakra from Sukyun and why I've never seen a place like this. Also, some of the cities we passed on the way looked way too advanced compared to Konoha. What do you think, Kurama?" "It could be possible. Most people would probably call you crazy for suggesting something like that, but I really don't have any right to believe that." "Why?" he asked curiously. In his mind he saw the giant fox stare at him blankly. "I've learnt that nothing is impossible. The fact that I happen to be a giant demon fox sealed inside a 15-year-old boy kinda proves that nicely," Kurama explained dryly. "Oh right, guess you kinda have a point. Well, we'll figure things out later on," Naruto thought before closing their mental link. He turned his attention back to Sukuna, who looked like he would have a panic attack any minute now. "Well, we might as well get going," he said, clapping the brown-haired boy's back as he headed towards the school. "Why yeah, I guess so," Sukyun responded as he followed the blonde, inwardly crying anime tears thinking about how much he suddenly missed his home. The two of them followed the pathway towards the school, but Naruto was already feeling bored. "So Sukyun, wanna play a spy?" he asked, hands behind his head. Hearing this caused Sukyun to sweat drop. "We're walking through a dead forest heading to a school that looks like a haunted house, and he wants to play I spy." "Sure, why not?" he asked with a sigh. Grinning, Naruto began to look around the area. "I spy with my little eye," he started as his eyes kept searching. Up towards the side he was able to see something approaching quickly them. Something pink, he finished, earning a confused frown from Sukyun. Where on earth did Naruto see something pink in an area that looked like the home for the dead? Sighing, he began to look around in hopes of finding what Naruto spied. So focused on this task, he did not see a person running towards him from the one direction he was not looking. "I don't see any," he started, but was interrupted when he felt a force rash into him. Naruto, who stopped walking, watched the scene amused. He kept silent as a pink-haired girl ran towards them, not paying attention to her surroundings. As Sukyun kept looking around for whatever Naruto spied, he did not notice the girl until she crashed right into him, causing them both to fall to the ground. He began to snicker when he saw the dazed expression on the confused Sukyun. "What hit me?" he asked groggily. "A pretty girl, but I gotta say, Sukyun, you're much bolder than I gave you credit for," Naruto said, unable to hide the mirth in his voice. Not understanding what he meant, Sukyun looked at the blonde questioningly, only to see Naruto pointing. Following the direction of his finger, his eyes widened as a blush covered his face, his body frozen in place. On top of him was a beautiful girl his age with long pink hair and bright green eyes. She was definitely the most attractive girl that Sukyun has ever met in his life. The thing that caused him to freeze though was the position of his hand, which rested on the girl's thigh. "Are you okay?" he asked shakily as he inwardly panicked. "Oh my god, she's going to kill me. It might help if you moved your hand," Naruto decided to add helpfully. Hearing this caused Sukyun to blush even more as he quickly removed his hand as if he touched something that burned him. What happened?" the girl asked as she rubbed her head before looking at her surroundings. She blinked as she noticed the brown-hair boy. "Oh, hello," she said happily with a cheerful smile, oblivious to their position. Hi," was the only thing Sukyun could think to say after seeing her radiant smile. Naruto just remained silent as he watched the scene in front of him. It was pretty good. If only he had some ramen to eat while watching. "Oh no, you're bleeding," the girl pointed out, and indeed there was a small cut on Sukyun's cheek, leaving a small trail of blood. Reaching into her pocket, she pulled out a handkerchief to clean the cut, but froze when an intoxicating scent invaded her sense of smell. This smell. Blood. I can't, she said as if stuck in a trance. The two boys watched shocked as she snuggled more into Tsukyun's chest. I lose myself whenever I smell that scent, she explained as she moved her face closer to Tsukyun's. What's happening? Tsukyun thought, blushing furiously. Damn. Who knew foreign girls were so bold? Not even Sasek's old fangirls were this bold. Naruto mused. I'm sorry. But I'm really hungry, she said before she bit down into his neck and began to suck his blood. The forest was silent as the two boys stared blankly before her actions caught up to them. Tsukyun screamed as the girl released her hold on him before getting off of him. She stood up and dusted herself as Tsukyun became frantic. Naruto stared at them confused. Could this be how people from outside the village greet each other? He thought to himself as he watched his hysterical friend and the girl who had an extremely pleased look on her face. Why, you sucked my blood, Tsukyun screamed as he clasped his hand over the bite mark. I'm sorry. It's just I couldn't control myself. You see, I'm a vampire, she explained nervously. The two boys looked at her shocked. Vampire? What is she talking about? Tsukyun thought worriedly. Vampire? There's no way those exist, Naruto thought before he heard his tenant's voice. Like I said, you have a giant fox demon sealed inside you. Kinda proves almost anything is possible, Kurama said dryly. Right, forgot about that. Naruto chuckled sheepishly while Kurama groaned in exasperation. Before Naruto could respond to her, another voice interrupted them. Amote, I told you not to run off like that, a voice called out. They turned around to see another girl around the same age as them. She looked a lot like the other girl, but instead of a cute innocent look, like the pink-haired girl had, this one had a more proud, mature, sexy look. She had long silver hair and red eyes. Overall, Naruto thought she looked stunning. Sorry, Yura-chan, but I thought we would be late, so I ran. The pink-haired girl, who was now known as Amote, explained. Apparently these two girls knew each other. That is no excuse, Amote. There's no telling what kind of scum that could be lurking around here. The other girl, now identified as Yura, said, not finding Amote's excuse acceptable. I'd really hate to interrupt this moment, but we're still on the topic of you being a vampire, Naruto said, gaining the two girls' attention. Yeah, like blood-sucking monsters that hate garlic, crosses, and stuff. Tsukyun added. You told them? Yura asked with a raised eyebrow. I sorta had to after sucking his blood, Amote explained sheepishly, pointing at Tsukyun. You actually sucked blood from another living being? Yura asked, surprised. Yeah, he was bleeding and once I smelt it I just couldn't help myself, Amote said, blushing. You have to control yourself better, Yura scolded. But Yura-chan, it smelled so good, Amote whined. Excuse me, we're still kind of in the dark here, Naruto pointed out, addressing Tsukyun and himself. And just who are you anyway? Yura asked, though she looked like she could care less about them. You know it's impolite to ask for someone's name without introducing themselves first, Naruto said with a raised eyebrow. How dare you talk to me like that? Don't you know who I am? Yura asked with narrowed eyes. No, I don't know who you are. That's why I said you should introduce yourself first, Naruto replied smoothly while Yura's eye began to twitch. I'm a vampire. That should be more than enough reason for you to show me respect, the silver-haired girl said through gritted teeth. You could be a vampire, a demon, or the tooth fairy for all I care, but respect is earned, not given, Naruto said as he crossed his arms. Before Yura could retort, Amote decided to cut in before things got too out of hand. I'm sorry, my name is Moka Akashiya, and this is my twin, she introduced politely before pointing to the silver-haired girl who sighed. I'm Yura Moka Akashiya, she said, crossing her arms before glaring at the blonde. Now that we've introduced ourselves, will you tell us who you are? Well, since you asked so nicely, Naruto replied, rolling his eyes before grinning. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, first-year student of Yokai Automy. I'm Tsukune Ono. I'm also a first-year student. Oh, so are we, Amote exclaimed excitingly while Yura looked on uninterested. So back onto our earlier topic. Naruto started as he looked at the twins. Since you're sisters and you pretty much bragged about it, then you're a vampire too. Yes, I am, Yura said, looking at the blonde. Why do you hate vampires? Amote asked, suddenly overcome with a feeling of nervousness. Yura looked at the two boys, the look in her eyes telling them that they better say the right thing or they will suffer. A lot. Of course not. Vampires are awesome, Tsukyun said nervously while Naruto got into a thinking pose. The other three waited for his answer until he was grinning at the two girls. Can't say that I do since I never met any vampires before, but if all vampires are as cute as you two, they can't be that bad, he answered. Amote blushed at the compliment but smiled that these two didn't hate her or her sister. Yura, on the other hand, felt her right eye twitch. I am a proud and strong warrior of the elite vampire race. I am not cute, she said, annoyed. Naruto looked at her with a raised eyebrow before smiling at the pink-haired vampire. Hey Amote, I didn't think your sister was the shy types when receiving compliments, he said. Amote looked surprised that someone would tease her sister but couldn't stop the giggle that escaped her. Tsukyun looked nervous as he saw Yura clench her fist, her body shaking in rage. I am not being shy, Yura said, only for the blonde to respond by giving her a fox-like grin. Denying it only makes you look cuter, Yura-chan, he responded. Amote watched shocked as a light pink hue appeared on Yura's cheeks, but she was the only one who noticed. She smiled to herself. This was very new. Since you don't hate us, would you like to be friends? Amote asked. Sure, Tsukyun said, glad that a cute girl like her would actually want to be friends with him. I'd love to be friends. Sounds like fun, right, Yura-chan? Naruto asked the silver-haired vampire. It was my sister who wanted to be friends, not me. And who gave you the right to call me Yura-chan? She asked, annoyed. Don't worry, you'll grow to love being friends with me, and I gave myself the right to call you Yura-chan. He answered while Yura did her best to ignore him. This is great. I was afraid we wouldn't make any since we didn't know anybody else. Amot said, relieved. We better hurry or else we'll miss the entrance ceremony, Tsukyun said as they made their way to the school. Naruto's room. After the entrance ceremony, the students had some time before they had to go to homeroom. Deciding to put some of his stuff away, Naruto separated from his friends and headed for his dorm room. He was not surprised to see his room was nicer than his apartment back at Konoha. He smiled to himself. Going to school would definitely be a nice change of pace compared to his treatment at the village. He had just summoned a toad to deliver a message to Tsunade saying he got here safe and that although school didn't start yet, he already made some friends. He told her that he'd miss her and the others and promised to keep in touch. After the toad disappeared, he remembered that he had some gifts he still didn't open. He opened the gift from Kakashi first and smiled at what he saw. Inside the small box was a pair of small silver bells tied together, the same bells from his genin test. On it was a note. Hey Naruto, when we first met you had to prove to me that you were a capable genin by taking one of these bells from me. It may seem a little cheesy, but me giving them to you is supposed to be symbolic. By giving them to you, you are not proving anything, but rather I am acknowledging you not as a simple genin but a full-fledged shinobi who I was proud to call a teammate. I hope you enjoy your time at this new school and hopefully you won't forget about you old sensei. Kakashi, how could I forget you, sensei? You gave me so many headaches with those stupid excuses. Plus always being 2 hours late for everything is kind of hard to forget, he said to himself, chuckling. He was really touched by the gift and what it meant. He opened one of the scrolls Jiraiya gave him to see they were for storage. Undoing the seal, his sweat dropped when he saw every Ika book ever published and a few that have yet to be released. Hey Geki, now that you're a little older you might be able to appreciate these works of art. Hell, who knows, you might be the successor after I kick the bucket. Hope you enjoy these. The Great Toad Sage Jiraiya. P.S. Don't tell Tsunade about this or I might kick the bucket a lot sooner than expected. Stupid perv, Naruto muttered, chuckling before undoing the seal on the second scroll. He face faulted when he saw it was another collection of Ika with another note. Remember Geki, it's always a good idea to have a backup. You never know what could happen, and it would be a shame if anything happened to your originals just when you have found an interest in them. And I thought he would actually give me something useful. I swear if the third one is another set of his books I'll kill him, he said as he unsealed the last scroll, but was surprised when small box appeared instead. There was a note attached to it. Geki, when the time comes that you appreciate the beauty of the female body, the last thing we need at the moment are mini versions of you running around, so use these wisely. Confused, he opened the box only to have a blush cover his face. He flung the box away and watched as the contents fell to the ground. I'm gonna kill him. Who the hell gives a 15-year-old boy a box filled with condoms as a going-away present? He muttered. Konoha, sure hope you enjoy those gifts, Geki. Jiraiya chuckled before making his way towards the women's bath area. Yokai Academy. Getting lost in his memories, Naruto didn't realize that he was running late after he made some alterations to his uniform. The 2 silver bells now hung at his side from his belt loop. Figuring that wearing a headband was against school dress code, he adjusted his forehead protector to act like a belt buckle. Running down the halls, he finally made it to his homeroom. Taking a moment to catch his breath, he knocked on the door before entering. Sorry I'm late, but I got lost on the road of life, he said, taking a page out of Kakashi's book. The teacher looked confused at his excuse. Okay, don't let it happen again, she said, unsure. No problem, he trailed off, silently asking for her name. Shizuka Nekonomiya, I'm your homeroom teacher. Got it, won't happen again, Nekonomiya-sensei, the blonde said before looking for a seat. Over here, Naruto, a voice called out. He turned to see 3 familiar faces. Sitting by the windows was Yura. To her right was her sister Amot, who was the one who called him. In front of her was Tsukyun Ayano, and the seat to the left of Tsukyun was vacant. Amot-chan, Yura-chan, Tsukyun. What's up? He said as he made his way to the vacant seat. On his way, he heard a few of the male students whisper. How does he know those 2 goddesses? One of them asked. First that brown-haired wimp and now this loser. How dare those 2 think they're worthy enough to talk to them? Naruto simply ignored them as he took his seat in front of Yura and next to Tsukyun. Isn't this great, Yura-chan? Both Naruto and Tsukyun are in class with us, Amot said, happy that she has homeroom with her 2 new friends. Oh joy, be still my beating heart, Yura said with half-lidded eyes. Oh, I missed you too, Yura-chan, Naruto said, grinning. I told you not to call me that. She snapped, a tick mark forming on her head. If you say so, Yura-hime, he said before turning to talk with Tsukyun, therefore missing the light blush that appeared on her cheeks. Amot, though, saw the whole thing and smiled. She was glad Yura met a friend like Naruto and couldn't wait to tease her later on. Now, as I was saying, I'll be your homeroom teacher for the year. I think you already know this, but Yokai Academy is a school for monsters, Nekonomiya said. The class looked bored at hearing this except for 2 students. Monsters? What is she talking about? Tsukyun thought as Nekonomiya began to talk about coexisting with humans. Monsters? Didn't see that one coming, Naruto mused. You seem to be talking the news pretty well. Hiroma commented. It's kind of funny that Konoha has always called me a monster and now that I leave I end up at a school for monsters. Tommy's funny like that, the fox demon said as Nekonomiya finished explaining the purpose and rules of the school. The talk ended just in time for Naruto to hear one of the students speak. Sensei, couldn't we just eat the weak humans and rape the girls? A student asked smugly, causing Sukyun to panic and Naruto to snort. You got a problem? The student asked, hearing him. Sorry, my doctor told me not to talk to smug bastards. I might catch their arrogance, he said, not even looking at the student, causing him to glare at the blonde. Settle down. Like I was saying, since this is a secret and sacred world, if any humans appear here they will be killed on the spot. The teacher explained, causing Naruto to frown and raise his hand. Yes, she asked. How does killing humans teach us how to coexist with them? He asked, causing the room to fall silent under his logic. I'm not sure, but that has been the policy since before I started teaching. Nekonomiya wondered now that she thought about it. Homeroom continued on until the bell rang. Amot had her arms around the arm of a blushing Sukyun who looked like he would pass out at any moment. Walking behind them was Yura with her arms crossed and Naruto with his hands folded behind his head, ignoring the jealous stares of the other male students. Amot was taking in her surroundings while talking excitingly and Sukyun could only nod dumbly. Seeing this caused Naruto to snicker. Looks like Amot-chan and Sukyun are getting pretty close. Naruto commented. Too close if you ask me. Yura said. It looks like someone is an overprotective sister. Naruto teased. Shut up. It's just that Amot is too nice for her own good sometimes. Yura huffed. Just then another student approached them. You two are Amot and Yura Akashiya, right? I'm Seizu Kamiya, a pleasure to meet you, he said while staring hungrily at the two girls. Naruto recognized him as the one who suggested eating the humans. Some of the jealous onlookers recognized him and began to back away, remembering the rumors they heard about him. But why would a pair of beautiful ladies like yourselves be associated with a pair of losers like these two? He asked as he lifted Sukyun by his collar. Wouldn't you rather hang out with a guy like me? How about we go where the three of us can have some fun? He asked, licking his lips. Naruto reached into his blazer, where he attached his shuriken holster to, and pulled out a kunai. He threw the kunai, cutting Seizu's cheek. Surprised, the bully dropped Sukyun to the ground before glaring at Naruto. What are you doing? He asked darkly as he released his killer intent, thinking he would be able to scare this blonde punk. Some of the students felt the kai and shook a little in fear, but it appeared to have no effect on Naruto. Please, if you want to scare me, then you're going to have to do better than that. Naruto scoffed before releasing enough kai of his own to match Seizu's. Before the two got into a fight, Amot interrupted them. I'm sorry, but my sister and I are having fun with Sukyun and Naruto, Amot said before turning to Naruto. Please don't fight. I wouldn't want you to get in trouble because of us, she pleaded. Seeing the look in her eyes, Naruto just sighed. All right, I won't fight him, he told her before glaring at Seizu. This time, but if I see you messing with my friends again, and even Kami won't be able to protect you from me, he threatened before Amot dragged him and Sukyun away with Yura following behind. I'll let you go for now, but I never let a woman that I've set my eyes on escape, Seizu said as he watched them leave. The four of them made it to an empty corridor of the building. Sukyun was a little shaken up from the whole ordeal. Amot was worried about him while Yura looked at Naruto curiously. She knew that someone like Seizu had no chance against her in a fight and would never let him touch her or her sister, but she was impressed that he didn't back down from Seizu but instead confronted him. Are you guys alright? That was a little scary, Amot asked. I'm fine. Thanks for helping me, Naruto, Sukyun said. Should have just let me kicked his ass. Naruto grumbled, and if you looked closely it would appear that he was pouting about not being able to fight that bully. After a while of just walking, Sukyun finally asked what was on his mind. Why are you guys so friendly with me? I'm just an average person. If you waned, you could probably hang out with just about anyone at this school, so why me? He asked, wondering why they would want to be friends with a human. Shut up, Sukyun. Do you know how hard it is for me to make friends? I ain't letting you off the hook that easily, Naruto answered. My sister is fond of you, so I will tolerate you, came Yura's simple answer. Besides, you're not just some random average guy. We're on blood-sucking terms, Amot said, blushing at the end, causing Sukyun to face fault. What the hell does that mean? Naruto muttered to himself. You should be proud. You have the tastiest blood that I've ever had, so much better than the blood I get from the packets. Amot continued. Am I just food? Sukyun wailed. Plus ... you were my first. Amot continued, her face going redder. Hearing this caused the two boys' eyes to widen. Naruto, being Naruto though, couldn't stop himself from teasing the poor boy. Hear that, Sukyun? You're her first, so make sure you take responsibility, he said with a grin, causing the boy to blush. What are you talking about? He shouted. I'm so embarrassed now, Amot said before lightly shoving him. This resulted in Sukyun to be impacted into the wall, crying comically while Naruto laughed his ass off. Even Yura had an amused smirk on her face. Let's go explore the rest of the academy, she cheered as she headed for the door, followed by her sister. Oh okay, Sukyun said weakly as a still laughing Naruto pried him off the wall. She is insanely strong. Never piss her off. They continued to explore until they came to the dorm building. Seeing the creepy building caused Sukyun to freak out, but Amot absolutely loved it. Are we looking at the same building? He asked. How on earth am I going to survive at this school? Are you kidding? This place has so much character, Amot praised. It will do. Yura added. Seeing the boy, Naruto decided to help. Relax, Tsukyun, I've already been in the rooms and they're pretty nice. Hell, it's way nicer than my apartment back home. I think it's a perfect place for a monster. Speaking of which, what type of monster are you two? Amot asked curiously. Damn it, should I tell them I'm human? But wouldn't they have to kill me? Tsukyun panicked. Sorry, Amot-chan, but it's against rules to tell you that the school year started. Naruto pointed out. He had no problem with telling them he was Kitsune, but he was unsure of what would happen since he was still part human. He could also tell that Tsukyun was human by his reactions to the different parts of school. Yura also knew that Tsukyun was human, his scent reeked human, but kept silent. Like she said earlier, she would tolerate the boy simply because her sister was fond of him. But she had no idea how Amot didn't know, considering she had some of his blood. Naruto she was curious about though. She could smell human from him, but there was something else. She didn't want to admit it, but the blonde caught her interest. What was he exactly? Oh, you're right. Wouldn't want you guys to get in trouble, sorry. Amot said, slapping her head. I have a question, but since I didn't answer yours, feel free to ignore mine. Naruto suddenly said, getting their attention. You two said you're vampires. How come I don't feel any energy from you? Oh, that's easy. You see these rosaries? They act like a limiter that hides our powers. Once we take them off, our vampire full powers are released. Amot explained, pointing to the matching rosaries that both twins were wearing around their necks before leaning into Tsukyun. Wow, matching rosaries, and your names kinda match too. Naruto said. Yes, our mother thought it would be ... cute ... since we're twins. Yura said with a sigh. But even sealed, we still need our blood, she said before biting into his neck, causing Tsukyun to scream. The group separated and Naruto decided to lounge on a tree branch and spend the time in one of his friend's favorite hobbies, cloud watching. So you're really gonna stay here? Kurama asked suddenly. Well, I lived with humans for so long and you know how that turned out, I figured I'd see how living with monsters would be like. You mean monsters and a human? The fox pointed out. Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on Tsukyun. He inwardly sighed. But still he considered the boy a friend and he always protected his friends. Heads up, we have company, Kurama said just as the tree Naruto was blasted away. Naruto flipped through the air and landed on his feet gracefully. He looked to see that Seizu was the one who punched the tree out of the ground. That wasn't really nice. I was just getting comfortable, Naruto said as he pulled out a kane and spun it around his finger. I already warned that weakling Ayano, so I'll get you a warning too. Stay away from the Akashiya sisters, Seizu said, ignoring the blonde. Who's going to stop me if I chose not to? He asked, bored. Me, the bully said with a smirk. If that's the case, then I'll definitely stick around them. I wouldn't miss the opportunity to kick your ass for the world, the blonde said, smirking at Seizu's growing annoyance. You get one warning only, punk, he said, walking away before Naruto called after him. And you'll get one warning. Mess with my friends and I'll kill you, he said with a demonic tone in the end that shocked Seizu for a bit. Regaining his composure, the bully scoffed and retreated. That was impressive, a familiar voice said. Why, thank you, but you haven't seen anything yet, Yura-chan, he said, grinning at the girl. Well then, hopefully I will in the future, Yura replied, smirking. Anyway, Seizu said something about talking to Tsukyun. I'm gonna make sure he's okay. Have you seen him? No, but Amma went looking for him earlier, so I might as well go with you, she said as she began to follow him. You don't have to make up excuses if you want to hang out with me, Yura-chan, Naruto teased, causing said girl to blush a bit for some unknown reason. She was not used to people other than Amo treating her like this. She was used to others fearing her, not treating her like an equal. I told you not to call me that, she snapped, causing the blonde to chuckle. Yura-chan is so cute when she's embarrassed, he replied, only serving to annoy her further. The two began their search. You can't leave, they suddenly heard. They turned towards the voice to see a distressed Amo next to a sad Tsukyun who was holding a suitcase. What does that fool think he is doing? Yura asked angrily. Nobody got away with upsetting her sister. She was about to go over there to show Tsukyun his place, but Naruto put a hand on her shoulder, stopping her. Wait up. We don't know what this is about, plus it's best for them to solve their own problems themselves, Naruto explained. Yura frowned. She didn't like it, but she understood. The two of them continued to watch the scene in front of them. I'm sorry, Amot, but I don't think this school just isn't for me, Tsukyun said gravely. He would have loved to stay here with her, Naruto and Yura, but the threat from Seizu really got to him. After all, he's human, he doesn't belong here. I think it would be best if I'd just go to a human school, he admitted, shocking the young vampire. You can't go to a human school. I hate humans, she cried. Hearing this, Tsukyun felt his heart shatter while Naruto cringed. Shit, those were not the right words to say, the blonde muttered while Yura silently agreed. My sister and I went to a human school for middle school. No one believed in monsters and we were isolated. They would even pick on me and I hated that feeling of loneliness, she explained, frowning at her memories. You two were alone? Naruto asked curiously from where they were watching. At first they seemed to like me, but then I beat up some of the boys who were picking on Amot. After seeing that, the kids became too scared to even come near me, Yura explained. Naruto suddenly had the image of a Chiba-Yura, whose hair was floating in the air and her eyes were glowing red as a demonic aura surrounded her, glaring at a bunch of crying boys who were running away. If the situation weren't serious, he probably would have laughed. But you and Naruto said you were okay with us being vampires. You two are the first real friends we ever had. Amot said. Like I said earlier, Amot thinks of you as friends. I merely tolerate you for her sake. Yura said before Naruto could open his mouth. So mean Yura-chan. Naruto said, pouting and mock hurt, causing Yura to smirk. Amot was still trying to convince Tsukyun to stay before he stopped her. What if I told you ... that I was human? He said, shocking the pink-haired girl, but he continued on. I'm human. I somehow got accepted to this school by mistake. That's impossible, she muttered, but he heard her. He noticed her shocked look and frowned. If that's how you feel, then fine, he said before running off, ignoring Amot's cries to come back. Better go help her out, Naruto said as he noticed the distressed look on Amot's face. The two of them made their way to her as tears formed in her eyes. She just drove away one of her first friends. Amot, are you okay? Yura asked softly. Yura-chan, he said, he's human. Is that a problem? Naruto asked gently. I don't know. Every other human has been so mean to me, she said, confused about today's events. Yura-chan, make sure Amot-chan is okay. I'll go make sure Tsukyun doesn't do anything he'll regret, Naruto said as he made his way to follow his friend, but Amot called out to him. Naruto, wait. Tsukyun said that he was human ... What about you? She asked. Naruto thought whether he should tell the truth or not before sighing. If you want the truth, then yeah, technically I'm human, but don't worry. I'll prove to you two that I'll be a real friend, he said, smiling before chasing after Tsukyun. He's human and he still wants to be friends with me. After I said I hate humans. Amot thought, surprised. What did he mean by technically? Yura thought curiously. Naruto, who was chasing after Tsukyun, found him in the middle of the forest with his head hung low. Tsukyun, what's up? Naruto said casually as he stepped into the boy's field of vision. Naruto, what are you doing here? Me? What about you? Going camping or something? Naruto asked, pointing at the luggage in Tsukyun's hand. No, I decided to withdraw from here, he corrected. Why? I thought you liked it here with your friends, Naruto said, sounding confused. Yeah, but I don't belong here because, he trailed off. Who cares if you're human? The blonde sighed, surprising Tsukyun. You knew, since class, your reaction to this being a monster school gave it away, but no one else noticed. The blonde said matter-of-factly. Oh ... Well, since you know, then you understand why I have to leave. If the school finds out, he'll kill me, he said gravely. Tsukyun, I'm hurt. You make it sound like I'd let them hurt my friend, Naruto said in mock pain. Friend? Even though I'm human, you still see me as a friend? Tsukyun asked, surprised. I won't lie, I have had some bad experiences with humans, but it would be unfair to judge their whole race based on a few villagers. Besides, I knew you as a friend first and a human second, Naruto said, smiling. I see, thank you, Tsukyun said, smiling, glad that he still had a friend. He's not the only one, a hesitant voice said from behind. They turned to see Amot and Yura approaching him, the former seeming more nervous. Amot, Tsukyun said, surprised. I'm sorry about how I reacted. I was just so shocked that I couldn't say anything, Amot explained as a few tears escaped her eyes. But then Naruto said he's human too, and I realized that not all humans are so bad. You two accepted that Yura-chan and I are vampires, so I should be able to accept that you're human. Human? But you said you had bad experiences with human as if you were something else, Tsukyun said, confused while looking at the blonde, who smiled sheepishly. Well, I'm kind of a special case. I'm not lying when I say I'm human, but I'm something more. And I have had bad experiences with other humans. But that's a long story for another day, he explained. Just what are you hiding? Yura thought while Tsukyun turned his attention back to Amot. Please don't leave, Tsukyun. I don't want to lose a friend, Amot pleaded. Well, isn't this interesting? A voice called out. They turned to see Seizu approaching them. I thought I told you to stay away from the girls. I remember you saying that, but I decided to ignore you, Naruto said, shrugging while Tsukyun took a step back. I've had it with you, punk. I'll crush you, get rid of Ayano and take the girls for myself, Seizu said as his body began to shift around. I can't control myself anymore. Just thinking about what I'll do to you is making me lose control, he said as his body grew twice its size as he revealed his monster form. Wow, so this is your true form. Gotta say, it's a bit of an improvement. Naruto whistled. Don't mock me, he roared as he charged at the blonde. Naruto just sighed as he extended his arm as a dark blue orb of light appeared in his palm. Seizu ran straight into it, sending him flying through the air, groaning in pain. Rasengan said calmly as the orb vanished. His friends waved shock, wondering what he did. I've improved at controlling my Yauki. I don't even need a clone anymore. Naruto though pleased as he watched Seizu struggle to his feet. Since he was trying to get with you and your sister, I'll let you finish him off, Naruto said as he pulled of Yura's rosary easily, surprising the vampires. Suddenly a powerful aura of Yauki surrounded the silver-haired girl as her pupils became slits and her fangs and claws became more pronounced. What's the matter, little boy? You wanted me and my sister, correct? Well, you'll have to take us by force. Yura taunted, her power now released. Damn, she wasn't kidding when she said she was an elite warrior. This strength is amazing, Naruto thought, impressed as she suddenly disappeared and reappeared in front of Seizu. Foolish weaklings like you should know their place, she said right before the heel of her foot connected with Seizu's jaw with a devastating kick. She turned to see her worried sister, a sweating Tsukyun and an amused Naruto. What's wrong, Uzumaki? Now that you've caught a glimpse of my real power, are you scared? She taunted as he handed her Rosario back. Are you kidding? I'm thinking that you and I need to have a spar sometime. he said with a grin. Again she was surprised but did not show it. Again he was not scared of her like the others, but instead he was interested. He was definitely a confusing one to her. Just know that I don't always need my full power to deal with weaklings like this one. But since this was the first, I'll let you off with a warning, she said with a smirk as she placed the rosario back on. Her pupils returned to normal. Her fangs and nails shrank as the powerful aura of energy disappeared. She then turned towards Sukyun before smacking him in the back of his head hard. You had better not upset Amot again like you did by making her believe you were leaving, she said, glaring at him. Sorry, he apologized to both girls. Well, now that that's settled, let's go get some ramen. Sukyun's treat. Naruto cheered as he made his way back with the others following. What he said registered in Sukyun's head. Why is it my treat? He asked. 'Cause you're the one who caused us all to worry and stuff, he said, imagining all the ramen they would eat. And so ended Naruto's first day of high school, but he couldn't complain. After all, he made some interesting friends. Yakai Academy, a school where monsters attend in order to learn how to coexist with humans. The #1 rule is that no humans are allowed at the school and will be killed on sight. Many think it impossible for any human to find a way into the school, but that is not the case for one Naruto Uzumaki, a half-human half-kitsune hybrid. Said hybrid was now in his room, slowly opening his eyes as the sound of an alarm clock was ringing through his room. Reaching under his pillow, he pulled out a kunai, which he always kept hidden there in case of an emergency, and threw it at the loud device. After rubbing the sleep from his eyes, he stretched until he heard the satisfying pop of his bones before he stood up. Damn, that thing is annoying as hell, he mumbled to himself as he observed the shattered remains of the clock before he stood up to take a morning shower to get ready for the day. Once done, he got dressed for school and left his room. This place looks so peaceful. Never would have thought that this was actually a school of monsters, Naruto muttered to himself as he walked to the school grounds heading for homeroom. It has been about 1 week since Naruto arrived and he felt pretty good. He made 3 friends, which was a record seeing as it took him about 13 years to make one in Konoha, and he got to kick Seizu's ass earlier this week. Friends and a good old-fashioned ass kicking, a good week indeed. Naruto, a familiar voice called. He turned to see Amot and Sukyun running to catch up to him while Yura walked at a leisurely pace. Morning guys, Naruto said as they reached him. Good morning Naruto, Sukyun said as he smiled at his friend. How did you sleep? Amot asked. One of the most peaceful nights I ever had, he said, and meant it. This was the first time he didn't have to worry about someone sneaking into his apartment while he slept in an attempt to end the demon. Uzumaki, Yura greeted as she reached the group. Come one Yura-chan, just call me Naruto. I thought we were all friends, Naruto whined in an over-exaggerated manner. Like I've already said, you and Amot are friends. I merely tolerate you for her sake, she said, crossing her arms under her chest as she looked away uninterestedly. So cruel, Naruto said as he crouched down onto the floor, hugging his legs into his chest. A dark, depressing aura surrounded him as he traced patterns on the ground. I'm sure she doesn't mean that, Sukyun said as he tried to comfort his friend. No, I meant it. The same goes for you too, she said, casually, causing Sukyun to join Naruto on the ground, tracing patterns in the dirt as the depressing aura spread. So cruel, they both muttered, causing both vampires to sweat drop. Soon Yura noticed a couple of students stopping to watch the depressed boys. Not liking the attention, she sighed before addressing the heartbroken duo. If you will stop making a scene, I am willing to accept you two as acquaintances, she compromised. I'll take it, Naruto cheered as he threw an arm over her shoulders. Her eyes widened at the sudden contact and the speed he did it before they narrowed, and she drove her elbow into his stomach. She took a few steps away from him as he fell on his knees, gasping for breath. Just because I have acknowledged you as an acquaintance does not give you permission to put your hands on me so freely, she said, but if you look closely you could see a light pink hue on her cheeks due to the unfamiliar action. Laughing at her sister's actions, Amot turned to Sukyun, who was also watching the scene in amusement. Those two get along well, don't you think so, Sukyun? Amot asked with a smile. I guess so, Sukyun said while chuckling as he watched Naruto ask when he would get permission to put his hands on her freely, only to receive a fist on top of his head courtesy of Yura. Is it lonely for you too? Amot asked, gaining Sukyun's attention. Huh, was his intelligent reply. You and Naruto are the only humans here. It must be lonely for you, she explained. Well, he trailed off. The truth was that he was terrified at the beginning to be the only human at a monster school, but when he found out Naruto was human as well, he felt much better. He believed the blonde when he said he was human, but how did he create that ball of energy to take down Seizu? He made a mental note to ask Naruto later, but right now he had a beautiful pink-haired vampire to talk to. At first I was nervous, but I don't really feel lonely. Not with friends like you guys, he answered honestly, earning a smile from Amot. Good, but if there's anything you need, just ask. I'll do whatever I can, she said before leaning closer. Amot-san, he asked as he shifted uncomfortably. Just when it looked like they were about to kiss, she leaned towards his neck and took a bite as she sucked his blood. Having her fill, she pulled back with a happy blush and smile on her face. After all, your blood is by far the tastiest I've ever had, she said before realization hit Sukyun. You sucked my blood again, he screamed as he clutched his neck and ran around in circles. Sorry, but the aroma of your blood was so intoxicating that I couldn't resist myself, she explained while rubbing the back of her head sheepishly. What am I? Food, he cried as he ran away. Sukyun? Amo asked worriedly with a bit of hurt in his eyes. Naruto and Yura stopped their little argument as they watched the scene in front of them. Damn fool has hurt Amo again, Yura muttered in annoyance. She gave him fair warning, but now it looked like she will have to show him his place. Don't worry, Amo-chan. Remember, you're the first vampire he's ever met. You probably just shocked him when you sucked his blood so suddenly. Naruto reasoned as he placed a comforting hand on the girl's shoulder. Do you think so? She asked, worried that she scared off her friend. Positive. Now why don't you go find him and talk things out? The blonde suggested. Okay, thanks for the advice, Naruto, she said with a smile before she ran off to find Sukyun. That idiot better be more careful. If he hurts her again, his face will meet the heel of my foot. Yura huffed, remembering the power that her kicks had. Naruto couldn't help but wince. If Sukyun was in the receiving end of one of those, he might actually die. Now, it was just a simple misunderstanding. No need to overreact, he reasoned. Yura looked at him for a moment before sighing. Let's just go to class, she suggested as she began to walk away. As you wish, Yura-chan, Naruto said as he walked by her side. I still do not remember giving you permission to call me that, the silver-haired vampire said, annoyed, while the blonde just chuckled. The two continued their way, with Naruto making a teasing remark while Yura resisted the urge to beat him to the ground when they spotted a crowd. I understand that you are a very intelligent girl. I mean, that is to be expected from somebody who has skipped so many grades, but that does not give you any excuses, a male student said to a younger girl. She had short brown hair, and instead of a normal school uniform, hers had a cloak and witch hat. Class representative, the younger girl asked. A bit of fear could be seen in her eyes. Just look at you. Your outfit is completely against the school dress code, he said as he pushed her. Stop that, she protested, only to be ignored. Seeing this made Naruto's blood boil. Forgetting class, he marched his way over to them. Uzumaki, Yura called out but was ignored. Mildly annoyed at this, she made her way to follow him. On their way there, Naruto and Yura heard some of the onlookers speak. Isn't that the genius? I think so. Looks like she's getting bullied by the class representative Gain. Well, it's understandable. I mean, look at how she dresses. Yay, she's just a witch, so no harm done, right? This comment really pissed off Naruto. He was still a few feet away when a rock flew from the ground and struck the class representative's head, causing him to pause in confusion. How did that happen? Huh, take that. Serves you right, you jerk, the young girl stated, which only caused the representative's annoyance increase. Damn no good witch. Just looking at you disgusts me, he growled as he lunged forward, but stopped when he felt a great amount of pain in his stomach. He looked to see an unfamiliar body standing between him and the witch. The young girl closed her eyes, preparing for the inevitable pain. She waited and waited, but still nothing. Taking a chance, she opened her eyes and gasped when she saw a boy guarding her. She couldn't see much since he had his back to her, but she could see his spiky blonde hair. Are you okay? He asked gently as he looked over his shoulder, letting her see his blue eyes and whisker-marked cheeks. Why, yay, she said after taking a deep breath. Someone actually helped her. Okay, just relax and let me handle this, he said in that same soft tone that caused her to blush. He turned his attention back to the boy in front of him and his eyes hardened. What the hell do you think you're doing? He asked in a tone so cold everyone took a step back. Even Yura, who was now standing by him, was surprised at this, not expecting Naruto to be able to speak in such a way. What do you mean? The class representative said, a bit startled at the look in the blonde's eyes. I mean, what the hell is your problem? Does picking on a younger girl make you feel better about yourself? Are you so pathetic that mocking a young girl gives you some sick pleasure? He asked angrily. Young girl, the only thing I see is a filthy witch, he said. The moment he finished his sentence, he received a punch to the jaw that sent him flying. Who cares if she's a witch? She's still a living being who deserves to be treated with respect, he said through gritted teeth. Both Yura and the young witch watched surprised. The witch because no one defended her in such a way, and Yura because this situation seemed to truly affect Naruto based on the emotions she could see in his eyes. She would have to talk to him about this later. If I see you messing with her again, I won't hesitate to kill you. Scum like you have no right to live, he said, unleashing a bit of killer intent at him. Whatever, he scoffed, trying to play it cool, but the fear could be seen. He and his friends left the three of them in the crowd of students who watched the whole thing. Naruto then turned his attention to the crowd. And you people disgust me, he said, shocking everyone. What do you mean? One of them asked. How the hell could you just watch him bully her? Hell, some of you thought it was reasonable, Naruto said as memories of a young blonde boy standing alone as a group of village mocked and ridiculed him flashed into his mind. Well, she's just a Y, but the student never finished. A kunai flew through the air, cutting his cheek in his sentence. I'd shut up if I were you, because if that is your only excuse, then by the time I'm through with you, you'll be begging for the sweet mercy of death, he said as he glared at the cowering crowd. It's blind fools like you that are the reason for so much pain in the world. Get out of my sight before I lose control and slaughter each and every one of you, he said, unleashing some killer intent at them. Needless to say, they ran in a panic. Taking a couple of deep breaths to calm himself, Naruto turned around to face the young girl. She took a step back, remembering how he talked to the crowd of students, afraid that he may unleash the fury on her next. Are you all right? He asked gently as he crouched down to look at her eye level. Why, yes, thank you, she said, seeing that he wouldn't hurt her or anything. My name's Naruto Uzumaki, and this is my friend Moka Akashiya, he said, introducing him and the vampire standing by them. I'm Yukari Sendo, she said politely. She usually didn't act this way around other students, but they didn't look like they would cause any harm, especially Naruto. She heard rumors about him beating Seizu easily and figured he was some type of Neanderthal who only knew how to fight, but here he was standing up for her when no one else would. I think I've heard that name before, Naruto said as he rubbed his chin and thought. She is ranked number in academics. Yura supplied. A rather impressive feat for someone so young. She added. Really? Damn, that's amazing. Naruto whistled. No matter what, academics weren't his thing, but he could respect those who excelled in it. Hearing he praised these two were giving her caused Yukari to blush. It's nothing really, she stuttered, earning a scoff from Naruto. Nothing? Come on, Yukari-chan, be proud of your accomplishment. If I were you, I'd be bragging up a storm. Naruto said. I never knew you were so humble. Yura said sarcastically. What can I say? It's part of the Uzumaki charm, Naruto said with a grin. Uzumaki charm? Would you care to show us this so-called charm you possess, because I haven't seen any from you yet? Yura said with a deadpan expression, causing Naruto to crouch on the ground and trace patterns on the floor with a depressing aura spreading over him. So cruel, he muttered as a sweat drop appeared over the vampire and witch. Is he always like this? Yukari asked, pointing at the blonde. Unfortunately, Yura sighed, rubbing her temple, trying to prevent a headache she knew was coming. Anyway, why were those guys acting like that? Naruto asked as Yukari dropped her head. It's because I'm a witch, she said as if it explained everything, and normally it would have to any other monster, but Naruto was not normal. Yeah, I heard people say that, but is that it? He asked, scratching the back of his head. Hearing this caused Yukari to snap her head towards the blonde. What do you mean, is that it? She asked, shocked. No offense, but it seems kind of stupid to treat you like that just cause you're a witch, he said with a shrug. It's not surprising you do not, but witches are not exactly the most popular of races, she said before glancing at Yukari. No offense, Yukari, she added after seeing her slumped shoulders. It's okay, I already know how most feel about witches, she said solemnly. What are you guys talking about? Naruto asked, not following along. We witches are considered as half-breeds. We're in the boundary between humans and yakai, Yukari informed. Because they are a bit of both, humans fear them while yakai see them as a disgrace. Yura continued. Hearing this caused Naruto to frown. Yukari-chan, whenever someone messes with you for being a witch, just tell me and I'll teach them a lesson, he said, surprising the witch. What? Why would you help me? She asked, wide-eyed. Both Yukari and Yura watched as a haunted look appeared in Naruto's eyes, as if he was going through a series of memories. You were born a witch. You can't help but be what you are, and because of that people hate you. He started as a sad smile grew on his face. I know what it's like to be hated for doing nothing but being what you are. You do? Yukari asked, shocked. Yeah, I also know what it's like to scream and beg for help only to be ignored, he said while the two girls listened quietly, looking at the multiple emotions in his eyes. I remember the one thing I wanted most was to be acknowledged. Something tells me that you want the same thing. He continued, earning a nod from the witch. Grinning like a fox, Naruto stuck out his hands towards the girl. In that case, I'll acknowledge you. So, what do you say, Yukari-chan? Wanna be friends? He asked cheerfully. Yukari just stared, with her eyes the size of dinner plates, in complete shock. She was silent for a while, which made the blonde nervous. Yukari-chan, it's kind of awkward if you don't say or do something, Naruto said sheepishly. Snapping back to her sense, Yukari ignored the outstretched hand and ran straight into the blonde's chest. She hugged him tight as tears fell from her eyes. Lowering his arm, he rubbed her back gently. Thank you, the witch mumbled. She had a friend who not only accepted her, but apparently he understood her pain as well. Yura was silent as she watched the scene in front of her. She replayed some of the things Naruto said as well as some of the things she already knew of him. The first thing she knew was that Naruto said he was human, which would mean he lived with other humans. But from what he just said, the people he lived with hated him for being what he was. Why would humans hate someone for being human? But then she remembered how he handled Seizu and that weird ball of energy. No human should be able to do something like that. At least not an ordinary human. He also said that the one thing he wanted was to be acknowledged. He wanted people to pay attention to him, but no one would. He also said people would ignore him when he screamed and begged for help, which she had found very difficult to believe he did such a thing. This meant he had no one to help him. No friends, but what about his family? All these thoughts began to give her a headache. She glanced at the two and saw Naruto say something to elicit a giggle from Yukari. The vampire allowed a small smile to appear on her face. You are a mystery, Naruto Uzumaki, but you are definitely an interesting person. Meanwhile, with Sukyun was walking through the forest, letting his mind wander. He thought about his friends here. First was Naruto, who was a human like him, an exceptionally strong human, but human nonetheless. Then there was Yura, the silver-haired vampire. She was a very proud, confident girl, but she seemed to be closer to Naruto than himself. Of course, they could be because Naruto refused to let her shy away from them. Finally, there was Amot. He couldn't help but blush when thinking of her. She was very cute and much more innocent than her sister, but she had the tendency to suck his blood whenever they were close together. I enjoy spending time with Amot-san, but does she always have to drink my blood? Am I only a source of food to her? Sukyun asked himself as he continued to walk through the forest. Has someone pl please help, a voice said, interrupting his thoughts. He turned towards the source and blushed at what he saw. A beautiful girl with blue hair and the biggest chest he ever saw was lying on the ground. She's beautiful, he thought. The girl looked up and saw Tsukyun. I don't feel well. Please. Can you help me? She asked weakly, snapping the boy out of his trance. Oh, of course. Can you stand? He asked as he helped her to his feet. It hurts, she said, flinching. What's wrong? Tsukyun asked, concerned. My chest feels like it's about to burst, she said as she pressed her breast against his side. It does look like it could burst at any second. They're so big and soft. He inwardly panicked as his face turned crimson. Tsukyun, could you look into my eyes? She asked shyly. He did what he was asked and felt his heart skip a few beats. My name is Kirimu Kurono. I hope we can be good friends, she said, but Tsukyun barely heard her. He felt spellbound while looking into her eyes. Those eyes, amazing. What's wrong with me? Why do I want to hold her tightly? He asked himself as he felt his body pull closer to her. Like metal to a magnet, he couldn't control himself and hugged her tightly to his body before the two walked back to the school with his arm around her. Unknown to him, Amma was watching the whole thing. Deciding to listen to Naruto's advice, she searched for her friend and was shocked to see him with another girl. She felt a pain in her heart when she saw the brown-haired boy hug the strange girl. Was Tsukyun trying to replace her as a friend because she kept sucking his blood? Unable to stand it, she walked away in the opposite direction. Pretty soon she found herself walking through the hallways alone. I'm alone again, just like before, she thought to herself as she remembered her time at school in the human world. No, this time I don't even have Yura-chan with me, she mentally added as she noticed the absence of her sister. While she was sad about that, she was also happy. She was glad Yura had a friend like Naruto who ignored her stubborn attitude. She was so deep in thought that she didn't notice a pair of students approach her. What's up, Amo-chan? A cheerful voice said, causing her to jump in surprise. Turning around, she saw the faces of a grinning Naruto and Yura, whose eye was twitching badly because of the blonde's arm slung around her shoulder. No matter what she did, Naruto always found a way to annoy her. However, her annoyance vanished when she saw Amote's face. Are you alright, Amote? You seem upset, she asked, concerned. She may act cold-hearted to others, but she cared deeply about her sizer. Nothing's wrong, Yura-chan, she said, trying to push her sister's concerns away, but she didn't fool either of them. For some reason I don't believe you. Want to try again? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow, trying to think up a lie but failing Amote's side. It's nothing really. Tsukune. He tried to explain but failed. Hearing the human's name caused Yura to frown. What did that fool do his time? She asked, annoyed. Nothing. But Amote said before she was interrupted. If the rumors are true. Then you two are vampires. The voice called out. They looked up to see a blue-haired girl sitting on the stair rail smiling smugly. She jumped off and landed gracefully, a few feet in front of the trio. You're the girl that was with Tsukyun earlier, Amote pointed out, surprised. The girl ignored her as she made her way over to them. As she did, the students were making a ruckus. Look at her. Her boobs are huge. To think there was another beauty besides the Akashiya twins. There were other comments that just annoyed Yura to no end while causing Naruto to sweat drop. If he ever made any comments like that in Konoha, he would be dead in no time. Amote, though, seemed oblivious to them, her attention focused solely on the girl who was now in front of them. I am Kirimu Kurono, a succubus, and I have come to defeat you too, she stated smugly. Amote looked confused while Yura looked uninterested. I thought I was against the rules to reveal your true form, Naruto whispered to Yura. It is. She probably thinks so highly about herself that she just doesn't care. Yura shrugged, causing Naruto to smirk. That kinda reminds me of someone else I know, he said, giving her a pointed look, causing her to nudge him with her elbow. I haven't the slightest idea of who you are talking about, she said, causing him to chuckle. Why would you tell us your true form? You're breaking the rules, Amote asked, confused, but Kirimu ignored her. I can't stand it. You two are nothing but eyesores. You're messing with my grand plan, she said, pointing an accusatory finger at the two vampires. Plan? Amote asked. She was still confused about what was going on. Yura, on the other hand, had a tick mark growing on her head. I know you did not just call me an eyesore, you pathetic excuse of a yakai, Yura said through gritted teeth. Her vampire pride would not let her just take that insult. Yes, my plan is to make every male student at the academy become my slave. I call it my Yakai Academy Harem Transformation Plan, she stated proudly. The whole hallway was silent as they stared at her with a deadpan expression. I've heard my fair share of master plans, but this one ... wow ... this one takes the cake, Naruto muttered to himself. I could care less about your idiotic plan, Yura said with a bored tone, although she inwardly agreed with Naruto. This plan was just ... wow. My plan was flawless. I should have had all the guys become a slave to my beauty from the start. But you two have ruined that. The guys at this school are dreaming about you two instead of me, she said, getting in their faces. Getting annoyed, Yura pushed her way. You think I enjoy this? They are nothing but disgusting irritants that cannot keep their filthy thoughts to themselves, Yura shouted, appalled. How could anyone enjoy the perverted comments these fools made about her and her sister? Hearing this, all the guys in the hallway felt an arrow pierce their heart. The goddess they worshipped hated them. Naruto snickered at the looks on their faces. Hearing this, Kirimu turned her attention to the blonde. She walked over to him and looked him straight in the eyes. Once their eyes locked, Naruto felt his heart skip a few beats. I will not lose to you two in a battle of feminine charm, she said while invading Naruto's personal space. Naruto wasn't sure why, but he couldn't look away from her eyes. What the hell? I can't move, he thought to himself as he felt his body freeze. Kirimu pressed her chest against Naruto and gave a seductive smile to the blonde. Yura, for some unknown reason, felt her annoyance spike up. But why should she care if some annoying girl threw her body at the blonde? You're Naruto Uzumaki, right? Rumors say that you're the only student that Yura talks to besides her sister, she said before turning to the twins. So in order to prove my superiority to you two, I have decided to steal Naruto and Tsukyun from you, she declared, surprising the two girls. What? Leave Tsukyun out of this, Amo said, shocked. What's wrong with this girl? Yura, on the other hand, remained silent. She was trying to rack her brain thinking about everything she knew about succubus. Something was wrong because Naruto was unusually quiet. Why should I? After all, you're only using him as a food source, and all Yura does is ignore Naruto, she accused as she leaned more into his body. That's not true. Tsukyun is my friend, Amo protested. While this was going on, Naruto was still having an internal struggle. Why the hell can't I move? He asked himself. Ever since he looked into Kirimu's eyes, his body froze. Wait a minute, her eyes. Is she behind this? He asked himself. About time you figured it out, Kit. A demonic voice answered. Kurama, what the hell's going on? You're being controlled. How? The girl. When you looked into her eyes, she used some kind of genjutsu or something to control you, the fox explained. Damn it, think you can help me out? He asked, hoping to break free before he did something stupid. If you let me gain control for a while, then yeah, I can definitely do something, Kurama said with a grin. Unaware of the internal conversation going in Naruto's head, Kirimu stood confidently. She was pleased with herself when she saw the panicked look of Amo and the annoyed one of Yura. Now it was time for her next step of her plan, to make Naruto hers. Naruto, why do you continue to hang out with someone like Yura? If you were with me, I promise that I won't ignore you, she said before leaning towards his ear and whispered. If you were with me, I can promise you, and I can have some real fun. Now all I have to do is kiss him and he's mine, Kirimu thought triumphantly as she leaned in closer to Hai. Their lips were about to meet when her body froze and she felt cold steel pressed against her neck. Yura, who was watching this, was not happy, but she didn't understand why. Seeing the succubus about to kiss Naruto angered her for some unknown reason. Perhaps she had feeling for the blonde. She scoffed and immediately threw that idea out of her head. That was just not possible. The only logical conclusion was that the succubus insulted her and her vampire pride would not allow her to just leave it like that. Yes, that had to be the reason. She was about to give the girl a piece of her mind when she saw Naruto raise a kunai and held it to her neck. The thing that shocked her and everyone else who was watching, though, was his face. His blue eyes were gone, replaced with red slitted eyes. His whisker marks became darker and his teeth became sharper like canines. Judging by the look on his face as he stared at Kirimu, he was not happy. Impossible. He broke through my charm. Wait, those eyes, is he a vampire? Kirimu thought frantically. Listen, girl, I don't know who you think you are, but if you try that little stunt on the kid again, I will end you, he said with a dark edge that sent shivers down everyone's spine. He pushed Kirimu away, causing her to fall on the ground. His features returned to normal as he stared at her coldly. Like I said, don't try that weird-ass eye trick on me again or you'll pay, he growled out in his normal voice, but it was still laced with anger. Are why you a V-vampire too? Kirimu asked shakily as she stood back on her feet. Hearing this, Naruto blinked a couple of times before grinning. Nope, he simply said. Yura just watched him deep in thought. He is definitely not a vampire despite his eyes. His scent is that of a human, but how can he do all that? And what did he mean, Kit? She thought to herself. One thing for sure was that she and Naruto were going to have a chat very soon. Amo-san, a voice called out. They turned to see Tsukyun walking towards them. Amo gasped when she remembered he was Kirimu's other target. Tsukyun, oh no, I have to warn him, she thought to herself. There you are. I was looking everywhere for you, he said as he smiled at the pink-haired girl. Seeing him, Kirimu decided to act fast. I wanted to apollo, he started when he was interrupted by a body crashing into him. Tsukyun-kun, Kirimu cheered as she pressed her hest against him. Take Kirimu-san, Tsukyun asked, shocked as his face began to glow a bright red. Seeing this, Amo felt her eye twitch in a similar fashion as her sister when a certain blonde annoys her. Wait a minute, I came to talk to Amo-san. He panicked. Tsukyun, get away from her. You're being tricked. She's not really your friend, Amo pleaded. How awful. How can you say such cruel things about me? She said overdramatically as she leaned into Tsukyun some more. I don't know why my charm failed against Naruto, but it should work against Tsukyun, she thought as their eyes locked. Once again, Tsukyun felt his heart skip a few beats. This weird feeling again. What's going on? Tsukyun thought to himself. There is something going on and I know the succubus is behind it. But what? Yura thought to herself as she watched the scene in front of her. Tsukyun, please get away from her. She's going to eat you or something. She's just using you, Amo said, trying to help her friends. Really, but aren't you the one who's just using me to suck my blood? Tsukyun countered, his eyes glazed over. Hearing this, Amo felt like she was just slapped in the face. Yura glared at the two as she saw her sister's pained expression. That's ... she started as tears formed in her eyes. Unable to take it, she let the tears fall freely as she ran away. You two will pay for what you have done, Yura said. Kirimu couldn't help but gulp at the silver-haired vampire's angry glare. Relax, Yura-chan, we can take care of those two later, but we should check on Amo-chan first, Naruto told her. Nodding, the two made their way to follow the upset vampire, but Naruto spared one more glance at Kuremu. You made a great mistake, Kuremu, he said coldly. Kuremu tried to hide it, but she was frightened. No boy had ever spoken to her like that, and it scared her. You hurt my friend. Congratulations, that just made me your enemy, he continued before he and Yura made their way to find Amo. Kuremu felt like she made a grave error. Something told her that she didn't want Naruto as an enemy. Hey Kurama, Naruto called out in his mind. What is it, Kit? Remember earlier today when I said this school was peaceful? Yay, what about it? I was dead wrong, Naruto said dryly, causing the fox to laugh. Kit, there's no such thing as peaceful with you around, the fox said between laughs. Tell me about it. Naruto sighed as he continued his search for Amo. Amo sat on a set of stairs thinking about what transpired today. She had a bit of a misunderstanding with Tsukyun. She went to search for him only to see him with a blue-haired girl. Later on, said girl accuses her of using Tsukyun, and then the final nail in the coffin, Tsukyun agreed with her. Unable to take it, she ran away with tears in her eyes. Does Tsukyun really believe that I'm only using him to suck his blood? She asked herself as she wiped the tears from her eyes. It's not true, she muttered to herself, upset. How could Kuremu accuse her of doing something like that when she's doing the same thing? Amo, a voice from behind called. Turning her head, the pink-haired vampire turned to see Yura and Naruto walking towards her. Yura took a seat by her sister while Naruto leaned against the rail with his arms crossed. What are you two doing here? She asked, trying to hide her inner turmoil to no avail. We came to check on you, Amo-chan, Naruto said, watching the girl. I'm okay. She tried to reassure them, but Amo was never good at hiding her emotions, especially from her sister. Don't lie to me, Amo. I saw how those words affected you. Those two will pay for hurting you, Yura said as she placed a comforting hand on Amo's shoulder. You don't have to do anything, Yura-chan. Everyone is allowed to have their own opinion. I just didn't know that's how Tsukyun felt about me, Amo reasoned. Although she was hurt, she didn't want her sister to get into a fight with anyone, but Yura didn't seem to agree. Even so, that does not excuse them, Yura protested. She understood that her sister did not like confrontations, but right now she did not care. The succubus would pay for her actions and accusations, and Tsukyun, Yura was definitely going to show him his place. Yura-chan, I know you're only looking out for me, but you can't beat up people for expressing themselves. I guess it was my fault. I kept drinking Tsukyun's blood after all. No wonder he thinks I'm using him, Amo said with a sad look in her eyes. That might not be the case, Naruto said with a thoughtful expression on his face, gaining the attention from the two girls. What do you mean? Amo asked, confused, while Yura raised an elegant eyebrow, silently asking him to explain. Well, I've been thinking, he said, but was interrupted. Shocking, I thought you were incapable of thinking, Yura scoffed while crossing her arms, causing Naruto to face fault. Despite the events from earlier, Amo couldn't help but giggle at their actions. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. Anyway, like I was saying, something about this situation is a bit off, he explained. What do you mean? Amo asked. Remember earlier when Kuremu was talking to me? Yes, so, Yura asked, wondering where he was going with his. Hopefully it could jog her memory, because she knew there was something about the succubus that she was missing, something important. Well, while she was talking to me, our eyes locked. After that I felt weird. I just suddenly blanked out. I was aware of my actions, but it was like my body had a mind of its own, he explained, scratching the back of his head thoughtfully. That is weird, Amo agreed with a confused frown. I know. What Tsukyun said to you was something he wouldn't normally say, so maybe what happened to me happened to him, Naruto said, earning a nod from Amo while Yura remained silent. That might be it, she agreed, feeling a sense of hope. Perhaps something was wrong and Tsukyun really does think of her as a real friend. Of course, Yura suddenly said, gaining the attention of the other two. Did you figure something out, Yura-chan? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. How could I have been so foolish? Now everything makes sense. She chastised herself, ignoring the blonde. I'm glad everything makes sense to you, but we're still in the dark, Naruto said, pointing to Amo and himself. What is it, Yura-chan? Amo asked, confused. Charm was the only thing she said, earning confused looks from the other two. Charm? Naruto asked, not getting what she was saying. Yes, it is a form of sorcery that can turn the opposite sex into the user's slave, she elaborated. What? Amo asked, shocked. She did not like where this was going. I knew there was something about the succubus that I was forgetting. The succubus are a race that seduces males by using charm, she said. So Tsukyun is under Kuremu's charm, Amo asked. From what Naruto has said, I am positive, Yura answered before looking at the blonde. Speaking of which, exactly how did you break out of her charm? I don't know. I guess my will was just stronger, Naruto said nervously. He didn't know how to explain how Kurama broke the charm, and something told him that saying the giant demon fox that lives inside of me took control of my body to break free would take too long to explain. Yura looked at him, obviously not believing his answer, but she was going to let it slide. For now. Anyway, if we wish to rescue Tsukyun, we must hurry. A male who receives a kiss from a succubus will become their slave for all eternity, Yura explained, causing them to go wide-eyed. Oh no, Tsukyun's in trouble, Amo shouted as she stood on her feet. Damn it, we better hurry before it's too late and he becomes her slave, Naruto said as they ran off, hoping to save their friend. Infirmary. Sukyun was currently sitting on a chair near the side of Kiramu, who was sitting on one of the hospital beds. Both of them were silent, deep in thoughts about what transpired earlier today in the hallways. Yahoo, I did it. I can't believe I finally did it. I made that annoying Amo cry. Kiramu cheered in her head while anime tears of happiness fell out of her eyes. Sukyun, on the other hand, was having very different thoughts. I can't believe I said that to Amo-san. What's wrong with me? He thought dejectedly as his mind replayed the earlier events. An image of Amo crying came to his mind and he felt an immense feeling of guilt. I have to apologize and hope she forgives me, he decided before an image of a glaring Yura appeared next, causing him to shiver. If not, then Yura-san will definitely kill me, he added as an afterthought. Deep in his thought, he did not notice Kiramu looking at him with a small blush on her face. Now all that's left is to make him my slave, then I will utterly defeat Amode. Then I can work on stealing Naruto from Yura, she thought smugly before she frowned as she remembered the way Naruto broke free from her charm. Then she felt a chill go down her spine when she remembered the last words he said before he followed the Akashiya twins. You heard my friend. Congratulations, that just made me your enemy. Something told her that she did not want to have Naruto as an enemy. She shook her head to get rid of those thoughts. She would cross that bridge when the time came, but right now she had other things to focus on. With that decided, she turned towards the brown-haired boy who remained silent this whole time. Sukyun-kun, she said, gaining the boy's attention. Hearing his name, Sukyun looked up only to find his vision blocked and it became difficult to breathe. Wondering what was happening, he panicked when he realized Kiramu buried his face in her breasts. Oh God, what's happening? I just get in a fight with Amo-san, piss off Yura-san, and now this. Why does the universe hate me? He cried in his head as he struggled for breath. You're sad, right? Kiramu asked gently as she rubbed his head comfortably. Relax and let Kiramu make it all better. I promise to take good care of you. Suddenly she pushed him gently but hard enough to make him fall on the hospital bed. His face turned bright red when she climbed on top of him until she was straddling him. Kiramu-san, what are you doing? He asked nervously as he tried to back away from her but was unsuccessful. He looked up and their eyes locked. Once again he felt his heart skip a few beats and found it impossible to think or speak. How strange, my heart is racing. That's never happened before. Kiramu mused as she leaned in closer to Sukyun. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Once we kiss, my charm will control him completely and I'll beat Amo, then I'll focus on Naruto and get back at Yura. Wait, Sukyun struggled to say as their lips drew closer together. He didn't know what was happening. He only met this girl today and they were about to kiss. Normally he would thank the heavens for this opportunity, but the image of a pink-haired vampire came to mind. With all the strength he had, Sukyun grabbed Kiramu's shoulders and pulled her away before their lips connected. What the? Kiramu muttered, shocked. 1 minute she was about to kiss the boy in front of her and then the next she was being hugged by him. I'm sorry, but I can't kiss you, Sukyun said, surprising her since he appeared to have broken free from her charm. Why? Because there is someone who I don't want to betray, he answered honestly, causing her eyes to widen before they narrowed in anger. Even when I made it virtually impossible for him to resist me, he was able to avoid kissing me, all because of that damned pink-haired bitch. She fumed in her mind. She was barely able to control her rage. How was this possible? How could he refuse her like this? Why do you hate me so much? She asked quietly. What do you mean? I don't hate you, Sukyun asked, confused, but was pushed away by Kiramu. Is she so much better than me? She asked through gritted teeth. After everything I did, you still refuse me, she continued as a pair of bat wings sprouted from her back. A devil-like tail appeared behind her and her nails grew longer and sharper, causing Sukyun to panic. Kiramu, what's going on? He asked in a panicked tone as he pointed at her wings, but she ignored him. I have never lost before, but those stupid vampires come out of nowhere and steal the spotlight from me, she thought furiously before glaring at the frightened human. Now I'm pissed, she shouted in anger. First Naruto and now you, all because of those two. I'm going to destroy everything that has anything to do with them, she shouted before aiming her claws at Sukyun. Oh God, I'm going to die, Sukyun shouted in fear. He closed his eyes, waiting for his inevitable end when the door suddenly opened. Opening his eyes, Sukyun was surprised to see a flash of pink that charged at Kiramu. Stop it, Amo shouted, making her way towards the succubus in a desperate attempt to stop her. Yura and Naruto entered the room after her. Amo-san, Sukyun asked, surprised. He thought that she would never speak to him again after hurting her earlier. Great, what are you two doing here? Kiramu asked in annoyance at seeing the vampires interrupting her. Amo looked at her and glared. Don't you dare hurt Sukyun, she shouted before pushing her away. What the? Kiramu exclaimed as she was not expecting that, was caught off guard and was sent flying out one of the infirmary windows, surprising everyone but Yura. Underestimating a vampire's strength, a very bad mistake, she said with a smirk. Damn, I didn't think Amo-chan had it in her. Naruto whistled as he watched the scene unfold. You'd have to run while you can, Sukyun, before it's too late, Amo pleaded as the brown-haired boy came back to his senses. Hold on a minute, I have no clue what's going on. Can someone please explain? He asked frantically. I'm sorry that you got sucked into this, Sukyun. That girl is some reason she wants revenge on Yura-chan and so she targeted you and Naruto, Amo explained solemnly, feeling that this was all her fault. What? I almost betrayed Amo-san all because of some kind of revenge, he thought gravely. Seeing the look on his face, Yura scoffed. Enough of your pity party. We have more important things to deal with, she said while pointing towards the window. They turned to see a fuming Kuramu flying in the air. So that's the strength of a vampire, huh? Looks like I'll have to keep an eye on you, she said, glaring at Amot. Why don't you come out here so I can kill you too? She shouted as she tried to goad the twins. The fool wishes to fight, then so be it, Yura stated with a smirk. She was about to head out but Amot stopped her. Yura-chan ... let me fight her instead, she asked, surprising everyone. I'm afraid I can't do that, Amot, Yura said after recovering from her shock. Why not? Even though you are a vampire, your powers are still sealed. It would be too dangerous for you to fight, she said, crossing her arms. But you're going to fight, she protested. Sukyun was her friend and she wanted to fight for him instead of being protected for once. That may be true, but you have never enjoyed fighting. Out of the two of us, I am the most trained. Even with my powers sealed, I should be able to handle his succubus, Yura explained coolly. Stop talking like I'm not even here, Kiramu shouted as she flew back into the room. She grabbed Amot's arm and threw her towards the window. Unfortunately for Tsukyun, he was between the two and was sent flying when Amot's body crashed into him. The two fell out of the window with Amot landing on top of Tsukyun. Are you alright, Amot-san? Tsukyun asked as he tried to get up. Finally, now I'll make you pay, Kiramu said as she flew towards them. Yura and Naruto ran towards the window to see what was happening. If you lay one finger on her succubus, I will end your pathetic life, Yura threatened, but it fell on deaf ears. As Kiramu was about to make her descent to finish of the duo, a bright light surrounded Amot. Tsukyun looked confused until he felt something in his hand. Glancing at it, he saw that he was holding a rosario. More specifically, he was holding the rosario that was usually found around Amot's neck. He must have taken it off by mistake during their fall. As the bright light faded, Naruto and Tsukyun were surprised at Amot's new appearance. Her usual pink hair had a silver streak on the left side. Her eyes changed from green to red, although it was not as dark as her sister's eyes, and her pupils became slits. Now in her new form, she stood up and looked defiantly at Kiramu. The succubus, though, was frozen in place, shocked. The sudden burst of strength caught her off guard. She quickly recovered and hardened her eyes as she glared at the vampire. So you have a new hairdo, big deal, she said, not caring. She has heard rumors about the might vampire race, but she just didn't care right now. Her pride took too many hits from the twins and she couldn't let them get away with that. Amot stood in front of Tsukyun protectively with a determined look in her eyes. You may think that I'm using Tsukyun, but it's not true. Tsukyun and Naruto are the first true friends that my sister and I have ever made. You tried to use them to get back at us for some petty reason, but I won't let you. I will fight for my friends, she shouted as Kiramu flew down towards her. She quickly grabbed Tsukyun's arm and threw him out of harm's way. Unfortunately, she forgot to take her vampire strength into account, resulting in Tsukyun being wedged into a crater his body made when he hit a wall. Kiramu went for a slash, but Amot was able to duck out of the way. As a counterattack, she aimed a kick at Kiramu's jaw, but the succubus used her flight advantage by flying out of range. Now open, Amot had no chance to avoid the incoming kick that Kiramu sent her way. As a follow-up, she grabbed Amot's arm and flew into the air. She spun a few times before launching the vampire, causing her to crash into the ground, the momentum from the spinning increasing the damage done. If that's all you have, Akashiya, then I'm disappointed, Kiramu taunted, but Amot ignored it as she stood back on her feet. Frowning, Kiramu charged again, going for a high-speed dive attack, planning to end it now. What she didn't expect was for Amot to sidestep away at the last second before delivering a powerful kick, sending her crashing into a nearby tree. It didn't end there though. Amot ran towards her, planning on hitting a strong punch, but Kiramu was able to step out of the way. The punch ended up hitting the tree, breaking it in half. Wow, she got a mean right arm, Naruto commented while Tsukyun could only gape. The sweet and innocent Amot, who looked like she couldn't harm a fly, was kicking ass. I suppose, but if she would just let me handle his, then we could be done now, Yura complained. Maybe, but it's good to let you sister fight her own battles, Naruto said as Kiramu tried to slash Amot, only to have the vampire catch her wrist, halting her attack. Shifting her body, Amot threw the girl over her shoulder, but Kiramu was able to catch herself in midair before she received any more damage. Okay, you're better than I thought, but let's see how you like this, she shouted as she began to increase her flight speed until Amot was barely able to see her. Suddenly a slash mark was made on the ground right next to Amot. Then out of nowhere she feels a sting on her shoulder and looks to see that there is a cut on her blazer. The slashes around her increase until it looks like she is stuck in a whirlwind as Kiramu uses her like a scratching post. Amot-san, Tsukyun cried out in worry as he helplessly watches his friend. Don't worry, Tsukyun, I'm alright, she reassures, though she winces when she receives another slash. Quit acting all high and mighty. Looks like the mighty vampire race is all talk if this is what you're capable of, Kiramu mocked. Yura was losing her temper as she watched her sister getting hurt while some fool insulted her race. If she could remove her seal, then she could make quick work, but unfortunately that is impossible until her eyes widened in realization. During the fight with Seizu, Naruto was able to remove her rosario easily. Turning towards the blonde, she grabbed his hand and hooked it around her rosario. Once it was in place, she pulled his wrist, causing the rosario to come off in the process. Her Yaki was unleashed until she was surrounded by a demonic aura. Her pupils turned into slits and her red eyes seemed to have glow. Her fangs became more pronounced as her nails became more claw-like. The sudden burst in Yauki was able to draw the attention of Kirimu, who stopped her assault to investigate. Her eyes widened when she saw that Yura was the source of Yauki. This incredible energy. Is this the real strength of a vampire? She asked herself in disbelief. The amount of Yauki that was flooding the area was astonishing. I may not be as strong as Yura-chan, but don't turn your back on me. A voice called out. Kirimu turned around in time to meet the end of a right hook that sent her flying towards Yura, courtesy of Amot. Seeing this, Yura smirked before delivering a backhanded strike, tossing Kirimu away as if she were nothing more than a pesky mosquito. Naruto, shouldn't you do something? 2-on-1 seems a bit like overkill to me, Sukyun asked. True, he was upset that Kirimu was using him to hurt Amot, but having to fight 2 vampires, especially Yura, seemed a bit too much. Naruto just looked at Sukyun like he was insane. Listen well, Sukyun, one of the most dangerous things a man can do is get involved in a fight between women, Naruto said sagely. Don't you think you're exaggerating a little? Sukyun asked with a sweat drop, but Naruto only shook his head. He knew from experience dealing with women like Tsunade and Sakura that girls can be some of the most frightening creatures in the world. Seeing Yura preparing to fight only confirmed it. Believe what you want, Sukyun, but I would like to live to see another day. He said so seriously that Sukyun began to rethink his earlier words. Maybe Naruto was right. Meanwhile, Kirimu stood back on her feet and glared hatefully at the 2 vampires. They have proved to be a more difficult obstacle to pass than she originally thought, but it didn't matter. She couldn't afford to lose. What's the matter, Succubus? Are you already tired? Yura asked mockingly, which only angered her more. Don't mess with me. I can't lose. There's too much at stake, she said, getting a confused look from everyone. How is being the school's idol considered too much at stake? Naruto asked, not following, earning a scoff from Kirimu. This school means nothing to me. The only thing that matters is finding my destined one, she explained. What's that? The blonde asked while scratching the back of his head. I have no idea. Sukyun frowned. Whatever it was sounded very important to Kirimu. The succubus find their destined one among the men we tempt. In other words, he is our soulmate. In order to prevent our species from dying out, we must find our destined one, she said as she flew high into the air. You 2 are getting in my way and I can't let that happen, she shouted before she drove straight at them, hoping for a high-speed collision. Foolish girl, your attack is too straightforward. It might be effective if I couldn't keep up with your speed. Too bad for you that is not the case here, Yura said before she appeared behind a surprised Kirimu and grabbed her tail. You not only bared your fangs against me but also my sister. You should know your place, she continued as she swung her tail, without releasing her grip, slamming Kirimu to the ground hard enough to create a crater. She picked Kirimu up by her neck before delivering a roundhouse kick that sucked the air out of the succubus' lungs before she fell to the ground. What's the matter? I thought I was in your way. Weren't you going to get rid of me? After all, I'm nothing but an eyesore, right? Yura taunted as she walked towards her fallen foe, but Sukyun appeared between the 2, surprising everyone, especially the succubus. What are you doing, Sukyun? Yura asked angrily. I'm sorry, Yura-san, but I think you should stop, Sukyun said, shocking everyone. Sukyun, what are you doing? She tricked you and then tried to kill you, Amot asked, confused at his actions. Step aside or else, Yura warned with narrowed eyes. You've done enough, the human said sternly as he tried to put on a brave front, but on the inside he was panicking like crazy. I know what she did was wrong, but I don't think Kirimu-san would intentionally hurt us because of a simple grudge, he finished with a smile that caused Amot and Kirimu to blush. Yura, on the other hand, looked livid. Do not think that you can order me around, she said angrily, causing Sukyun to take a step back. He was hoping his reasons would be able to convince her, but it looks like it didn't. And now come on, Yura-san, I'm sure that we can work things out peacefully. I think that Kirimu-san has a good heart, just like you and Amot-san, Sukyun said nervously while Kirimu watched silently. After everything I put him through, he's actually defending me, she thought with a blush. I am not like my sister. She may be forgiving, but I most certainly am not, Yura stated before she disappeared and reappeared behind the human. Kirimu looked at her fearfully, unable to draw any more strength to even attempt to defend herself. This whole time you have constantly insulted my race, my sister, and myself. Do not think that I will tolerate such behavior. When I am through with you, you will never be able to speak to me in such a manner again, Yura said coldly with a dark smirk as she stood in front of the fallen girl. Yura raised her leg in preparation for a vicious axe kick while Kirimu closed her eyes in anticipation, but the attack never hit. She opened her eyes to see another body between the 2. Naruto was on one knee, crouched down between the 2. His blonde hair was shadowing his eyes as he blocked Yura's kick with the back of his right arm. All in all, he looked pretty cool. Oh Kami, that fucking hurt like hell, he cried out. Or at least he would have looked cool if he didn't fall on his back clutching his arm, thrashing his legs wildly as he howled in pain with anime tears falling out of his eyes. Seeing him in such a state caused everyone to sweat drop despite the serious situation. How was he able to block my kick? That should be impossible for a human, Yura thought curiously. What do you think you are doing, Uzumaki? She asked with a glare. After recovering from the pain, Naruto stood on his feet and looked at Yura without an ounce of fear. Sorry, Yura-chan, but I'm afraid I agree with Sukyun, he said with a grin. Oh really, please tell me why I should spare her, she said, crossing her arms, looking at him with a stern expression. Naruto tapped his chin in thought before shrugging. Well, I could say that I agree with Sukyun, but seeing as how that failed the first time, it probably wouldn't work. He said, you're right, it wouldn't. She agreed, waiting for him to make his point. I could say that your sister looks like she agrees with Sukyun, but that might not work either. He pointed out, causing her to nod with a frown. Yes, like I said earlier, I am not as forgiving as Amot. Do you have another reason, or are you just wasting time? She asked with a raised eyebrow. Grinning like a fox, he walked close to Yura until his mouth was right next to her ear. Unused to the close proximity, Yura blushed but did her best to hide it. Then how about this one? Let her go and she will continue to live, but the memory of how you could have ended her without trying will be stuck with her forever. She will know firsthand that if she ever did anything to you, you could end her easily. He whispered. While he didn't like the idea of Kuramu living in fear, he had to play with the hand dealt to him, and he felt that this reason would definitely appease Yura. Yura listened to his words, and a feigned grin found its way on her face. She took a step away from the blonde and glanced at the confused and frightened succubus. Yes, she found that she rather liked Naruto's idea. I will spare you this once, but make sure that you know your place. Do not even think about speaking to me like that again, she warned, surprising the other three. What? She asked, surprised. You heard me. I will not repeat myself, Yura said as she turned away. Thank you, Yura-san, Sukyun said gratefully, only to receive a glare that caused him to shiver. Do not think I did this for you, Sukyun. You are on thin ice with me. The next time you try to tell me what to do and you will meet the end of my foot, she threatened. Sukyun nodded vigorously, but Amot watched her sister silently. She knew Yura could be stubborn, and once she made up her mind, it was nearly impossible for you to change it. She looked at Naruto, who handed Yura's Rosario back, and smiled. Looks like Naruto knew how to deal with her stubborn sister, and for that she was glad. Yura grabbed her Rosario from Naruto while Amot took hers from Sukyun. The two vampires put them back on and their vampire features disappeared. Like I said, succubus, I will spare you once. Do not waste this chance, Yura said as she walked away with the others following behind her. Next day, I just wanted to apologize again for my behavior, Sukyun said, again earning a smile from Amot. It's okay, Sukyun, and I should apologize for sucking your blood so much, she said, bowing her head. Everyone has made up, I'm so happy, Naruto said as he wiped away an imaginary tear from his eye, causing Yura to roll her own. As always, your theatrics are amusing, but it is too early for me to deal with them, Yura said, earning a chuckle from the blonde. Okay then, I'll save the rest for later, he said with a grin. Oh joy, I can hardly wait, she replied sarcastically. Good morning, a cheerful voice interrupted. They turned to see a smiling Kuramu approaching them. Kuramu-chan, what are you doing here? Amot asked wearily. Sukyun looked nervous, remembering the events of the previous day. Naruto looked bored, not really caring, and Yura simply looked pissed. Kuramu saw the look Yura was giving her and turned away timidly, causing the vampire to smirk in satisfaction. It looks like she remembered the little lesson that she taught her. I baked you some cookies, Sukyun-kun, she said with a smile. Why me? Sukyun asked, confused as he accepted the box. Remember when I said I was looking for my destined one? She asked with a blush. Yeah, Sukyun said uncertainly while Amot frowned in confusion. Yura rolled her eyes at them, not really caring, but Naruto had a smirk on his face. I have a feeling that this will be good, he thought while watching things transpire. I decided that it's going to be you, she stated, shocking everyone. What? Sukyun shouted in shock. The way you defended me ... It was just amazing, she said dreamily before locking eyes with Amot. I will not lose him to you, she declared, earning a hard look from the pinkette. Sukyun had a feeling that trouble could happen, so he did the only logical thing he could think of. He ran away from the two girls, wondering what he did to deserve this. Sukyun, where are you going? Do something about this, Amot shouted as she chased after him. Sukyun, come back. When will we get married? Kuramu asked as she also gave chase to the fleeing human. Unable to take it, Naruto began to laugh at the poor boy's misfortune while Yura sighed in annoyance. Does this mean I will have to deal with her presence on a daily occasion? She asked, hoping for a negative response. Don't think so, but look on the bright side, Naruto said as he slung an arm over her shoulders. Yura, who was used to this, ignored it and glanced at the blonde. And that would be? She asked curiously, doubting there would be a bright side. We get to watch them drive poor Sukyun crazy, he answered with a grin, causing Yura to smirk. Well, that does sound amusing, she said as the two of them headed for class to start the day. As you know, the Academy's goal is to teach you how to better adapt to human society. Because of that, you will all be participating in club activities. After all, what better way to fit in with humans than by doing human-made activities? Nekonom announced. Club activities. I wonder what kind of clubs are here, Sukyun thought to himself. Suddenly, images depicting the different kind of clubs that a monster school could have flashed through his mind, causing him to shiver. Please, if there's a god out there, there will be something normal and not dangerous for me to join, the human thought nervously. Because of this, you will spend the school day looking for a club that interests you the most. So go out and find a club that you would like to join. Also, don't forget to check out the newspaper club. I'm the advisor, Nekonom said as the students began to leave the room in search of a club. Sukyun, won't this be fun? Amot asked as she reached her human friend with Yura by her side. I'm sure it will be, Amot-sen, Sukyun answered. This seems like a complete waste of time if you ask me, Yura said with a roll of her eyes. Oh, come on, Yura-chan. I'm sure that this will be a lot of fun, Amot said brightly. You never know, Yura-sen. You might just find something you like, Sukyun pointed out. I highly doubt it, Yura said as she crossed her arms looking bored. She looked around and noticed someone missing from their little group. Where's Uzumaki? She asked. She wasn't really paying much attention during homeroom, so she did not notice Naruto's absence until now. Naruto? He never showed up to homeroom. I'm not sure why though, Sukyun answered. Is that why you don't want to look at the clubs? Because you miss Naruto? Amode asked innocently but laughed inwardly when she saw her sister blush. Of course not. I just find it unfair that he gets to avoid this while I have to suffer. Yura denied. She did not know why her sister would ask that. How could she miss the blonde? Maybe miss that he always finds a way to annoy me. She mentally scoffed. Well, we should just look around and see if we can find anything interesting. Maybe we'll see Naruto around, and if not, we'll go look for him, Sukyun suggested. Alright then, let's go. Amo cheered as she grabbed Sukyun's arm and dragged him out of the classroom with Yura reluctantly following them. With Naruto. Oh man, I can't believe I overslept. Why didn't you wake me up, Kurama? Naruto cried as he ran towards the school, uniform disheveled. Are you kidding me? I did try but you wouldn't budge. I don't know what the hell you were dreaming, but it must have been pretty damn good if you could sleep through me yelling in your mind. The demon fox said through their mental link. It was a pretty good dream. I was still a shinobi, but instead of getting paid with money, I got paid with ramen, Naruto said with a bit of drool escaping from his mouth. Only you would want to live in a world where their form of currency is ramen. Kurama deadpanned. Sometimes he just couldn't believe his container. Whatever, you just don't understand the joy that ramen can bring, Naruto said as he reached his homeroom door. Sorry I'm late, Naruto immediately said as he bowed to his teacher. Naruto-san, what are you doing here? He heard his teacher ask in a confused tone. He looked up to see that he and Nekonomiya were the only ones in the classroom. Where is everyone? Is it the weekend? Naruto asked, wondering why the classroom was empty. No, today the students are walking around the campus looking for a club to join, Nekonomiya explained. Oh, sorry about rushing in then. Guess I'll go look around, Naruto said as he was about to leave, but Nekonomiya grabbed his arm, stopping him from leaving. Before you leave, would you like to learn about the newspaper club? She asked with a smile. No one has visited her about her club yet, and although Naruto came here by accident, she would take what she could get. Newspaper club, he repeated, looking at her curiously. Yes, you would write about different things going on at the school. It involves interviewing and investigating different people and events, she explained. Naruto thought about it, and if he were honest, it wasn't entirely interested. Nothing against the teacher, but he always preferred to do something that involved more action. When he was about to gently turn down her offer, he paused. By investigating and interviewing for the club along with a little stealth on his part meant he might be able to find some good blackmail material on others. It also meant he could walk around the school and learn about its layouts for pranks without raising suspicion. It may not have much action, but there was definitely some potential for some fun. Plus, the newspaper club might be a good way to gain information, and in the ninja world, information was the most dangerous weapon anyone could ever wield when used properly. You know what, sensei, I think I will join, Naruto said with a fox-like grin. Really? That's great, she cheered. Our first meeting will be tomorrow after school. Got it. Would you mind if I walk around just to look at some of the clubs? He asked. He made his choice and he would keep his word, but he was still curious about what other clubs that could be around. Oh no, go right ahead. And if you see anyone who might be interested, see if they'll join, she said with a smile, happy that someone has finally joined her club. No problem, sensei, Naruto said as he left the classroom. He walked down the hall and was surprised to see how lively it was. There were booths for the different clubs, and judging by the amount of different booths, there was a club for just about everything. I wonder what the others are doing, Naruto mused to himself until he heard the sound of a girl screaming. He looked around and saw a familiar girl in a witch hat running away from a group of students. Stay away from me, you weirdos, Yukari shouted as she tried to get away from them. Please don't run away from us, Yukari-san, one of the students shouted. All we want is to offer you an invitation to join our club, another student added. Please join us, a third student cried, but Yukari paid no attention to it. Stop following me, she shouted, desperate to get away. She looked around and saw a familiar head of blonde hair. Naruto, please help me, she cried as she ran towards him. What's going on, Yukari-chan? Naruto asked, confused as the little witch hid behind his leg. Naruto, please help. Make them go away, she pleaded as she pointed towards the group of students who were now standing in front of them. Excuse us, but could you please step aside? We need to speak with Yukari-san, one of the students asked. Just what are you going to talk to her about? Naruto asked with a raised brow. We are just trying to convince her to join our club, another student explained. Judging by the way she ran away from you, I'm wondering what kind of club it is, Naruto responded as he crossed his arms over his chest. It's a Lolican club, Yukari shouted as she pointed an accusing finger at the group. Hearing this caused Naruto's eye to twitch as he stared at the group of students who looked like a couple of kids who got caught stealing from the cookie jar. Is that true? He asked deadpanned. Well, we wouldn't exactly use that word, one of the students said nervously as the twitch on Naruto's eye increased. Get the fuck away from her, he shouted, scaring the group who ran away from the blonde. After all, they heard rumors that he took on Seizu and they did not want to get on his bad side. Thank you, Yukari said as she released a sigh of relief. Don't mention it, Yukari-chan, Naruto said with a grin. Find any club to join yet? No, I'm still looking. What about you? The witch asked as the two of them walked through the crowd of students. I just joined the newspaper club, but I decided to look around a bit. Naruto answered as he rested his hands behind his head. Newspaper club, huh? That sounds interesting. Maybe I'll join if I can't anything else, Yukari said as she tapped a finger to her chin and thought. The two of them continued to walk around making some small talk until Yukari saw something that caught her eye. Hey Naruto, I'm going to go over there for a while, okay? She said as she pointed towards a sign that said Magic Club. That's fine. I'll just walk around some more, Naruto said. Okay, I'll see you later and thanks again for earlier, she said as she waved goodbye and headed towards the Magic Club. Naruto continued to walk around, but since he had none of his friends to talk to, he soon found himself bored. This was interesting at first, but now I'm so bored, he sighed as he looked around. He hadn't seen any of his friends other than Yukari. Maybe I can find some kind of ramen appreciation club, he thought aloud. Only you would think about joining a club dedicated to ramen. He heard a familiar voice say. He turned around to see a familiar silver-haired vampire. Yura-chan, he cried as he lunged towards the girl. He surprised her when he suddenly wrapped his arms around her for a tight hug. I'm so happy to see you. I thought I was going to die from boredom, he continued. Yura was blushing hard from the sudden hug, unable to think straight. No one but a few of her family members has ever hugged her before. Regaining her composure, she narrowed her eyes and hit him across the head, sending him crashing to the ground. Oh, Yura-chan, that was mean, Naruto whined as he nursed the bump that formed on his head. It's your own fault. I do not remember giving you permission to hug me, she shot back, but a blush could still be seen on her face. So what do I owe the pleasure of your company? Where are the others? Naruto asked curiously as he stood up straight and dusted himself. We started off just looking around with the normal group of idiots worshipping the ground that my sister and I walk on, she said, earning a snicker from Naruto. Amo let her excitement get the better of her and ran off, and with Tsukyun's infatuation with her, he followed her. I see no point in these clubs, so I decided to walk around myself. I see. Well, look on the bright side, Naruto said positively. There's a bright side? Yura asked incredulously. Yep. Now you get to spend the rest of your day with me, he said with a grin. I thought you said there was a bright side, Yura said with a straight face. Why'd you have to be so cruel? Naruto sulked. Hey kid, not that I don't enjoy watching you flirt with the hot vampire chick, but maybe you should look for the other vampire and the human. He heard the demonic voice of Kurama say, causing him to blush. Shut up, you stupid fox. I'm not flirting. Sure you're not, the fox said with a roll of his eyes. Why should I look for the other two anyway? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because there's a weak human in the middle of a school of monsters, and with your luck something is bound to happen sooner or later, Kurama said sarcastically. Hey, my luck isn't that bad, is it? He asked, but was greeted with a moment of silence. Do you really want me to answer that? No, Naruto said with his head hung down low. During his mental conversation, Yura was looking at him strangely. For some reason his face went through a series of emotions, from shock, to embarrassment, to questioning, and then depression. She was starting to question the sanity of her blonde-haired companion. You think we should look for the others? He asked. Yura thought about it for a moment before nodding. Yes, I'm sure that Amma will get herself in trouble and Tsukyun will be too ignorant to realize it, Yura stated as the two of them began their search. I'm glad that you have so much faith in them, Naruto said as he sweat dropped at her response. You've met them, haven't you? Amma is too kind, it's going to get her in trouble one day, and as for Tsukyun, the boy is too naive sometimes, Yura explained. Naruto thought about it and he had to agree with her. Okay, I see your point. Better find them before something happens, Naruto said. They spent about the next hour looking for the other vampire and human, but had no luck. Where are they? Yura asked impatiently. Not only has she been unable to find them, but every weirdo has practically begged her to join their club. She refused every time, but she was very close to killing someone. In fact, she would have killed the student from the photography club that asked her to be a nude model, but Naruto was able to drag her away before she could unleash her wrath on the poor boy. Naruto watched as the vampire began to lose her patience. Honestly though, he was getting pretty annoyed too. Where on earth could those two have gone? He looked around to see if there was any place he missed when he saw a sign. It was a sign that promoted the swimming club at the school pool. What about the swimming club? We haven't looked there yet, Naruto suggested, but Yura just scoffed. There is no way they'd be at the swimming club, she dismissed without a glance. Why would you say that? Naruto asked curiously. Because we vampires are weak against water. They drain the energy right out of our bodies, Yura explained. Really? What a shame. I would have loved to see you in a swimsuit, Naruto said with a smirk as he watched her blush. Damn pervert, she shouted as she went to punch him, but a snickering Naruto was able to avoid it. He held his heads up in defense. Okay, sorry, I just couldn't resist. Anyway, does Tsukyun know about this? Naruto asked as she regained her composure. I highly doubt it unless Amo has told him, but I don't think she has, Yura answered, looking through the crowd trying to find them. Naruto on the other hand grew silent as he began to think. Most likely Tsukyun had no idea about a vampire's weakness to water. It was also obvious that he had some kind of crush on the pink-haired girl. He would obviously want to do something fun with the girl. Amma was also a very kind girl. She didn't have the heart to turn down her friend, so if Tsukyun suggested it, there would be a good chance that she would follow along despite her weaknesses just so she could be with the boy. The only question left, is there anything Sukyun would want at the swimming club? Girl you're crushing on plus school swimming pool equals girl you're crushing on wearing a swimsuit. Come on Yura-chan, we're going to the swimming club, Naruto announced as he grabbed her arm and headed towards the pool. I already told you that we vampires are weak against water. Why would Amo go there? Yura asked, not liking the fact that she was being dragged. Just trust me on this, Naruto said as they headed towards their destination. School pool. How did you know they would be here? Yura asked as she watched Sukyun swim with an attractive upperclassman while Amo sat down on one of the bleachers with a downcast expression. No matter how nice Sukyun is, he is still a teenage boy, Naruto answered as they made their way towards Amot. Once they got loser, they were able to spot a tick mark on Amot's head that only got bigger the more she watched the upperclassman flirt with a flustered Sukyun. How's it going, Amo-chan? Naruto asked, announcing his presence. The pink-haired girl looked up and smiled when she saw them. Naruto, Yura-chan, you're here, she said in a bright tone. You see, Yura-chan, she's happy when she sees me. Why can't you be like that when you see me instead of acting all sarcastic and stuff? Naruto asked with a pout. Because unlike my sister, I do not have the patience to deal with an idiot. She deadpanned as Naruto clutched his heart in an overdramatic gesture. Your words hurt so much. I don't think I can continue on with this life, Naruto said as Amo laughed at their antics. She was sad because Sukyun chose to swim while she couldn't get near the water and she was getting very lonely. Hey Naruto, why weren't you at homeroom this morning? Amo asked, wondering what happened to him. Although she wouldn't admit it, Yura was curious as well. Oh, I overslept. I was having this really great dream where instead of money people paid me with ramen, Naruto said as he began to drool thinking about his dream and what a great world it was. His answer only caused the girls to sweat drop. Well, now that we have discovered that ramen is the only thing you think about, what are you doing here, Amot? Yura asked as she looked at her sister expectantly. What are you talking about, Yura-chan? She asked, not meeting her eyes. I mean, why are you near something like a pool when you know water can cause you great harm? She asked, the look in her eyes causing Amo to shrink back. Well, Sukyun really seemed interested in the swimming club. I tried to convince him to leave, but then those girls dragged him into the pool, she explained with a frown. That's no excuse. You know how dangerous water is for us. Do not do something just because Sukyun wants to. Yura scolded. Hold up, Yura-chan, you're making it sound like Sukyun's the bad guy. He doesn't even know about vampires and water, Naruto pointed out, only to be on the receiving end of a glare. I do not care. I will not let my sister get hurt just because the human is ignorant. Perhaps he should be more observant and notice that Amot had not joined him in the pool yet. But no, instead he chooses to flirt with some other girl while leaving Amot here by herself. Yura ranted. Hey, don't yell at me. Sukyun's the bad guy, remember? Naruto cried, not wanting to be on the receiving end of her female wrath. No one's the bad guy. It's not Sukyun's fault, Amot said, trying to calm her sister down. After a few seconds, Yura finally settled down. Whatever, we should leave before something happens, Yura said as she turned towards the door. But what about Sukyun? Amot asked, not wanting to leave him alone. If the boy wants to swim, let him. Like I said, you shouldn't risk your health just because he wants to be here, her sister answered as if it were obvious. Relax, Amot-chan, chances are he'll join us after a bit of swimming. But Yura-chan is right. We better get you two away from this pool before something happens, Naruto added. Amo was about to protest, but she decided to give in. After all, they both had some good points. Okay then, maybe we can find some other club, she finally said, although she still didn't like the idea of leaving Sukyun alone. As they were about to leave, Sukyun was able to escape from the swim club members before he reached the edge of the pool. Hey guys, where are you going? He asked as he noticed they looked like they were about to leave. The girls aren't really fond of swimming. You looked like you were enjoying yourself, so we thought we'd let you enjoy yourself a bit while we looked for something else to do, Naruto explained. Oh really? I was hoping that we could all swim together, Sukyun said with a frown while Naruto smirked. He crouched down and spoke so softly that only Sukyun could hear him. Are you sure it didn't have anything to do with seeing Amot-chan in a swimsuit? He whispered, causing Sukyun's face to burn red with embarrassment. Of course not, he denied with a flushed face. He figured it out, he thought to himself as Naruto stood up straight, the girls wondering what he said to get Sukyun so flustered. If you guys aren't interested in joining, I guess there's no point. It's not really much fun doing this without my friends, Sukyun said as he was about to get out of the pool. Before he could leave, a pair of arms wrapped around him, pulling him back in. Where are you going, Sukyun? A female voice said. A group looked to see a girl with long turquoise hair. Tamo-senpai, Sukyun said, startled. Why are you leaving? She asked with a pout that caused the human to blush, much to Amot's annoyance. Oh well, I wanted to join a club with my friends, but they aren't really interested in swimming, he explained, causing her to frown. How would they now that if they haven't even entered the pool? She asked as she snapped her fingers. Out of nowhere, two more members appeared and grabbed Naruto by his arms. What the hell? The blonde asked, surprised. Girls, if you would, please give him some proper swimwear. If he actually takes a dip with us, he might be willing to join, Tamo suggested. Hi, both girls said as they began their work. Naruto tried to struggle from their grasp but failed as a cloud of smoke surrounded him. The group watched as articles of clothing flew from the smoke cloud, followed by high-pitched screaming. What are you doing? No, stop that. That was my best shirt. Don't touch me there. They heard him shout in a panicked tone, causing them to sweat drop. Once the smoke cleared, the girls blushed furiously. There stood Naruto in nothing but a pair of orange swimming trunks. He was very physically fit for someone his age, and while he wasn't overly bulky, you could definitely see muscles on his body. However, what really caught their attention, especially Yura's, was the fist-sized scar that was on the right side of his chest. How on earth did he get a scar like that? It looks like someone punched a hole right through him, Yura thought curiously. Naruto did not notice the attention he was drawing to himself from the female students. He clutched his arms and was visibly shivering. I don't think I've ever felt so violated before, he said, causing them to sweat drop again. Now that he's ready, why don't we give him a hand? Tamo said, causing the other two members to nod. On it, they chanted before pushing the unsuspecting blonde into the pool. What have I ever done to deserve this kind of treatment? He shouted before he hit the water with a splash. He quickly emerged, coughing up water before glaring at the members. What the hell was that for? He shouted. What? We just wanted to swim with you, Tamo said innocently. That doesn't mean you have the right to strip me or push me in. He shot back. You're stressed. I'm sure a relaxing swim with us will calm you down, she reasoned as two more members appeared and wrapped their arms around both of his. Where the hell do these girls keep coming from? He shouted as they pulled him underwater, trying to get him to swim. When they emerged, they were surprised to see them holding another male student who had a dreamy expression from being held by two girls. Glad I was able to escape, they heard a voice say. They looked to the side to see Naruto climbing over the edge and leaving the pool. Thank God I did that emergency underwater substitution. These girls are crazy, he thought to himself as he walked back towards the vampires, careful not to touch them while he was still wet. How did you do that? Tamo asked, surprised. How on earth did he escape them underwater? That should be impossible, she thought as she narrowed her eyes at the blonde. Do what? Naruto asked, feigning innocence. Anyway, like I was saying, I'm sorry Tamo-senpai, but I don't think the swimming club is for me, Sukyun said as he tried to get free from her grasp, but she wouldn't have any of that. Earlier it was obvious that you wanted to swim. Why did you suddenly change your mind? Is it because of them? The turquoise-haired girl asked as she looked at Amot and Yura. I just want to hang out with my friends. It's no one's fault that they don't like swimming, Sukyun answered. I just don't understand. If you want to swim, then swim, but if you don't, you have no reason to be here, she said as she splashed some water at the two girls. Not expecting the sudden action, the girls were too late to avoid the water. Once it made contact, they screamed in pain as sparks surrounded their body. What happened? A worried Sukyun shouted. He was about to check on the two girls when he heard someone else scream. He turned around as his eyes widened in shock. Two swim club members bit one of the male students in the pool. Right before his eyes, Sukyun watched as the boy began to age at a rapid rate until he resembled an old man. What the hell just happened? Naruto asked as he saw the whole thing. I hope you don't think too badly of us, they heard Tamo say, and they were shocked to see a fishtail where her legs should be. Luring men into water and sucking their life force is just the way me mermaids live. Mermaids? Oh no, they have us trapped in the pool. Sukyun though worriedly as he watched the other members transform into mermaids. He tried to get away, but Tamo cut him off. Where are you going, Sukyun? She asked as she started to circle him. I've had my eyes on you for a while. Well, both you and Naruto. You two have the most delicious scent. If I had to guess, I'd say it was that of a human, she said as she got closer to Sukyun, who was looking very nervous. Let go of him, Amot shouted as she got back up on shaky legs. Such a nuisance. What are you going to do? You can't even touch the water, let alone reach me here, Tamo taunted. Amot-sen can't touch water, Sukyun thought, surprised. Was that why she wouldn't swim with him? That's some big talk coming from a lousy fish. Yura shot back as she stood by her sister before she did something stupid. You two are starting to get on my nerves, Tamo said with a frown before she swung her tail, creating a large wave. Acting on instincts, Yura quickly pushed Amot out of the way but couldn't escape herself. Yura-chan, Amot screamed wide-eyed as she watched her sister scream in pain, sparks of electricity shocking her body before she collapsed onto the ground. The mighty vampire race succumbs to a little water, how pathetic, the mermaid said with a smirk. Now where were we, Sukyun? She asked as she turned to the boy only to find him missing. Yahoo! Looks like I came right on time to save you, Sukyun-kun, they heard from a cheery voice above. They looked and saw a flying Kuramu carrying Sukyun through the air. Kuramu-san, what are you doing here? Sukyun asked nervously. He was not used to flying unless he was in an airplane. I came to help my destined one, of course, she declared proudly before she frowned. Thank you, he said, relieved before looking at an immobile Yura who was lying on the ground with the occasional sparks flying from her wet clothes, glaring at the mermaid. Is it my fault that Yura-san is in such a condition? Because I didn't notice how uncomfortable Amot-san must have been around the pool, he thought guiltily. Just wait until I get my hands on you, Yura growled as she tried to get up. She didn't notice Naruto walk up to her until he picked her up bridal style. What the hell are you doing, Uzumaki? she shouted with pink-stained cheeks. Relax, Yura-chan, I'll handle this. The water already drained a lot of your energy. We don't want you to get hurt even more, Naruto advised. I am not some damsel in distress. I do not need you to fight for me. I am perfectly capable of fighting my own battles, she yelled, ignoring his advice. Naruto just rolled his eyes. Sometimes she was too stubborn for his own good. Amo-chan, stay here with Yura-chan. Hopefully this is far enough from the water, Naruto said as he sat the silver-haired vampire down on one of the benches. I told you I do not need you to fight for me, she shouted in annoyance as Amo appeared next to her sister. Naruto, who was heading for the pool, paused and looked over his shoulder at the girl. I am perfectly aware that you can fight for yourself, but Tamo made a big mistake, and if I don't blow off some steam I might do something I'll regret, he told her before looking at the mermaid, who was looking at him with a cocky smirk. And what mistake did I make? She asked in a condescending tone. You hurt my friend, the blonde growled as he unleashed his killing intent, causing the mermaids to freeze in fear. I'll destroy you. And how are you going to do that? You can't even reach us here in the water, one of the mermaids said, trying to brush off his threat. Naruto just looked at them and smirked. Then in a blink of an eye he vanished and reappeared in front of the mermaid, who spoke, delivering a harsh kick to her face, sending her flying. You might have been able to get one of us, but now you're stuck here in our territory. We mermaids are unbeatable in the water, Tama boasted, but her and everyone's eyes widened in shock when they saw Naruto calmly standing on top of the water. Maybe I wouldn't be able to fight you in water, so I guess I'll have to fight on it instead, he said with a grin. That's impossible. What are you? Tamo shouted in surprise. Naruto looked at her and his pupils turned into slits. I'm the guys whose friend you hurt, he said as he ran on the water towards the mermaids. It doesn't matter if you can walk on water. You still won't be able to stop us. Get him, girls, she shouted as the mermaids charged. They have me outnumbered and I want to keep my shadow clone technique a secret for as long as I can. Naruto, though, as he ducked down to avoid one of the mermaids who jumped at him. He grabbed her tail, swung her around, and threw at another two girls. You're going to have to do better than that if you want to get me, Naruto taunted as he sidestepped away from another strike and delivered a blow to the stomach, knocking the mermaid out. Stop playing around. Get him, Tamo shouted as her and a group of mermaids surrounded the blonde before leaping at him. Seeing no room to dodge them, Naruto released the chakra gathered around his feet, causing him to sink down. With the blonde no longer in their path, the mermaids crashed into each other before falling underwater. Seeing this, Naruto raised his arm and began the first two stages of the Rasengan, but instead of using his chakra to force the water in multiple directions, he had it flow in a single direction. That, combined with the amount of chakra he put into it, he was able to create an underwater cyclone that swallowed the mermaids. From the outside, the others looked at the surface of the pool, trying to figure out what was happening. What do you think is happening? Sukin asked, worried about his friend. I don't know. I wish there was something we could do to help, Amot said with a frown. Beating a mermaid underwater is nearly impossible, and he has to fight more than one, Kuramu added. The fool wanted to fight, so let him. It's his own fault for getting himself into that situation, Yura said from her position on the bench. She was getting very annoyed. With all the water that hit her, she felt very fatigued. Not only that, but she was worried about Naruto even if she didn't want to be. Suddenly the surface of the pool water began to move around. It started as small movements, but the speed soon increased. Pretty soon they were staring at what could only be described as a whirlpool. Then the remaining mermaids were sent flying from the pool, where they crashed onto the ground away from the water, where they were less dangerous. After that the whirlpool began to disperse, and soon after Naruto came up and swam to the edge of the pool where he could climb out. Naruto, you're okay, Amot said cheerfully. If he wasn't so wet, she would have ran over and hugged the blonde in joy. Please, did you think I'd lose to a couple of fishies? Naruto asked with a grin as he channeled his fire chakra to dry himself off. Where did that whirlpool come from? Kuramu asked with a curious expression. Sorry, but a magician never reveals his secrets, Naruto answered with a shrug, causing her to pout. Naruto laughed at her antics before glancing at Yura, and he frowned. It looked like she would pass out any moment. You okay, Yura-chan? You look pretty worn out, Naruto asked as he walked over to it. It will take more than some water to finish me off, she scoffed, trying to hide the discomfort she was in. Of course, he said as he shook his head. Without warning, he picked her up bridal style. What are you doing? Unhand me this minute, she shouted as she felt her cheeks heat up. You guys for on ahead. I'm going to take our little stubborn vampire here to the infirmary to make sure she's okay, Naruto said as he carried her out of the pool. I am not stubborn. They heard her shout before they were out of sight. Naruto must be pretty brave to act like that around Yura. I'm surprised she hasn't killed him yet, Kuramu said nervously. She didn't forget the fight she had with her and how she easily overpowered her. Yura-sen can be a bit scary at times, Sukin agreed. He was terrified of the silver-haired vampire. I don't know. I think it's nice that Yura has a friend like Naruto, Amot said with a smile. Well, I guess we better leave before they wake up, Sukyun suggested as he glanced at the unconscious mermaids. The two girls also looked at them and nodded before leaving the pool. The next day, I'm really sorry about yesterday, Amot-san, Sukyun said as he walked to class alongside Amot. For what? She asked with a confused frown. About yesterday, I was so preoccupied with having fun that I completely ignored you. It's pretty much my fault that this happened. If I had noticed how uncomfortable you were, we could have left before those mermaids attacked us, he explained in a dejected tone. Don't worry about it, Sukyun, it's not your fault. Amo tried to reassure but he just shook his head. How can you not be mad? It's because of me that you and Yura got hurt, he said, blaming himself. No, it wasn't, it was because of Tamo-senpai and the other mermaids. You can't blame yourself, Sukyun, I never told you about our weakness to water. It was an honest mistake, Amo said, trying to comfort him. Maybe but, he started but was interrupted by a sudden hug from the vampire. Just let it go, Sukyun. It's over and we can all just leave it behind us, she said as she pulled back from the hug, a bright smile on her face. Sukyun just nodded as he blushed. Okay, thank you, Amo-san, he said with a small smile, feeling better. No problem, she said brightly. Just who I was looking for, Nekonom said as she suddenly appeared by the two students. Sensei, the two of them asked, wondering what their teacher wanted with them. I needed to talk to you too. It's come to my attention that you have not joined a club yet, the cat-like teacher explained. Oh well you see we sort of ran into some problems, Sukyun said, trying to figure out how to explain that a group of mermaids tried to suck their life force. We're sorry, Sensei, Amo added, hoping they weren't in trouble. It's all right. The reason I'm here is to see if you would be interested in joining the newspaper club. So far only Naruto has joined, she said, surprising them. Naruto joined? Sukyun asked, not expecting that. Yes, he did. What about you two? Are you interested? Nekonom asked expectantly. The two students looked at each other before smiling. Hi, it sounds like fun, Amo said excitingly. We would love to join, Sukyun added when Kuramu appeared out of nowhere. I'm joining too, Sensei, the succubus chirped with a smile. Kuramu-chan, what are you doing here? Amo asked, wondering where she came from. I'm always where my destined one is, she said as she wrapped her arms around Sukyun's, causing Amo to grow a tick mark. Let go of him, Kuramu-chan, Amo said as she grabbed Sukyun's other arm. The two looked over him and glared at each other, sparks of lightning emitting between them. Sukyun laughed nervously before he noticed something. Hey Amo-san, where's Yura-san? Sukyun asked. Amo stopped glaring at Kuramu and turned to Sukyun. She's still a little worn out from yesterday. She got hit by a lot more water than I did. All she needs is a little rest and she'll be good as new, she answered. When do you think she'll be better? Kuramu asked curiously. She'll probably be up and running later on today, Amo said, earning a nod from the other two. Naruto isn't here either, Kuramu pointed out. You're right, I wonder where he could be. Sukyun thought aloud, getting shrugs from the other. I'm sure he'll show up sooner or later, Amo said as they went to class, the two girls pulling on Sukyun's arm, trying to get the other girl away from him while said boy cried anime tears. Yura's room. Yura was lying on her bed recovering from the other day. The reason why she was currently bedridden was because of yesterday's events. Speaking of yesterday's events, they were the only thing on her mind at the moment. More specifically, it was Naruto that she was thinking about. She was wondering about the strange things he did yesterday. She never heard of anyone being able to stand on water, let alone a human, and there was also that thing with the whirlpool. Since Naruto was unaffected by it, she could only assume he created it, but how? Even when he's not here, he finds a way to annoy me, she grumbled as she felt a headache coming from all her thinking. A sudden knocking on her door snapped her out of her thoughts. She watched as the door opened and Naruto walked into her room with a large smile on his face. It's like he knows when someone is thinking of him, she thought. How you doing, Yura-chan? He asked as he took a seat next to her. I was doing well, but then you appeared, she said, causing his shoulders to slump. So cruel, he muttered as she rolled her eyes at his antics. Why are you here, Uzumaki? Don't you have class to attend to? She asked as she raised a delicate eyebrow. You expect me to go to class when one of my dearest friends is feeling unwell? He asked as he took an overdramatic pose. Meaning you saw this as an opportunity to skip class, she bluntly said, causing him to sweat drop. Of course not. I was worried about my darling Yura-chan, he said as he received a harsh glare that even made Kurama a little nervous from where he was watching in Naruto's mind. If you ever call me your darling Yura-chan again, I will make sure you will never be able to reproduce, she threatened as Naruto paled before nodding rapidly. I won't make that mistake again, ma'am, he said, getting a nod of approval from her. Good, now then, I have some questions. She started, making sure he was paying attention. You have told us you are human and I believe you. But what I want to know is how you were able to do those strange techniques. I don't know what you are talking about. He lied, unable to think of anything, but Yura wasn't about to let him off the hook like that. She had questions for some time and she will get the answers no matter what. Let me refresh your memory. When we first faced Seiza, you created some strange blue orb. Against Kuramu you were able to block my kick, which should be impossible for a human, and of course there was yesterday. Are you honestly going to try and deny the fact that you were standing on water when there were plenty of witnesses? She asked with a glare that pretty much said go ahead and lie. I dare you. I channeled my inner flames of youth. He offered but paused as he thought about what he said. Kano at Team 9 training grounds. The members of Team 9 were currently training when the Taijutsu specialist Might Guy came to a sudden halt. Judging by his face you could tell he was in deep concentration. Is something wrong, Guy-sensei? Lee asked, wondering what was on his sensei's mind. No, it's just that my youth detector has picked something up, he informed as he rubbed his chin and thought. Youth detector? Neji questioned, wondering if he even wanted to know. It seems like another person has embraced the ways of youth, he shouted, ignoring Neji's question. Alright, in honor of this mystery person I will work to spread my flames of youth, and if I cannot I will run 50 laps around Konoha on my hands. He shouted to the heavens above. I too shall honor this person, and if I cannot I will do 100 push-ups with a boulder strapped to my back. Lee shouted with as much enthusiasm as his sensei. Thatta boy Lee. Gaiasensei. Lee. Gaiasensei. The two green-clad ninja of Konoha shared and embraced as a sunset appeared in the background. A few feet away you can see Neji and Tenten banging their head against a nearby tree. Yura's room. The room was silent for a few minutes. What? Yura finally asked, not believing what she said. What the hell were flames of youth? I can't believe you just said that. Kurama groaned as he covered his eyes with a paw. Shut up. Just shut up. Naruto said in his mind, wondering what on earth possessed him to say that. Naruto was quiet for a bit, trying to think about what to say. He knew he couldn't keep everything a secret after everything they saw. He guessed that he could give her some answers. Alright, you win. Like I said, I'm human, but I'm also a shinobi. He stated. A shinobi? She asked in a somewhat interested tone. Yeah, we're trained to use chakra, which is like Yauki but for humans. By utilizing my chakra I was able to create the Rasengan, which was that blue orb you saw. We can even use our chakra to walk on water or walk up trees without using our hands. He explained, hoping this would satisfy her curiosity. I see, she said as she absorbed the information. It certainly explained things. There was also that scar on your chest. I am curious, how did you get a wound that would leave such a scar? She said, raising an eyebrow when she noticed him stiffen at the mention of the scar. Sorry Yura, but I don't really want to talk about it, Naruto said, looking away from her. Yura frowned at this but decided to let it go. Everyone was entitled to their own secrets. Very well, she said, getting a grateful smile from the blonde. Anyway, I know just the thing to make you feel better, he said as he pulled out 2 bowls of ramen out of nowhere. How the hell will ramen help me? More importantly, where do they come from? Yura shouted. Honestly, what was with his obsession over ramen? Poor naive Yura-chan. One cannot explain the miraculous powers of ramen through words alone. One must simply accept and be thankful for it, Naruto said sagely before he started to eat his bowl. Yura just stared at him incredulously before sighing. Chances are she'll never fully understand her blonde friend, but she knew one thing for sure. Things were never boring with him around. And with that thought she began to eat from her bowl. After all, she hadn't eaten a thing all day. Sukyun, may I please suck your blood? Amot asked with a smile. Before he could even answer, she was already in front of him. Kapuchu, she said before she bit down into his neck. What do you think you're doing? Hiramu shouted as she pointed a finger at Amot, who stepped back from Sukyun with a delighted blush and a satisfied smile on her face. Thank you for the treat. Your blood is definitely the tastiest. If I'm not careful I might just get addicted, she said, ignoring the succubus which did not please her. Who said you could just suck my destined one's blood? Hiramu yelled as she crossed her arms and glared at the vampire. What? Sukyun never said anything about it, Amot said with a confused look on her face. On the side, Sukyun was standing on wobbly legs with a dazed expression. She sucked my blood again. If she keeps going at this rate I'll die of blood loss ... but having her so close to me is amazing. The human thought to himself, not sure how he should feel about this situation. Look at him. You're sucking him dry, Hiramu cried before grabbing his head and pressing it against her breast. Don't worry, darling. Hiramu will protect you from her. What do you mean protect him from me? I've never done anything to hurt him. Plus look at you, you're suffocating him, Amot shouted as she pointed at Sukyun, who was flailing his arms around before they went limp from the lack of oxygen. Off on the sides, Yura was leaning against a tree with her arms crossed. Next to her, Naruto was sitting on one of the tombstones that decorated the school grounds with a bag of popcorn in hand. This never gets old, Naruto said as he ate a handful of popcorn before offering some to Yura, who refused. Maybe to you, but I have already grown tired of their useless squabbling, Yura complained as they watched sparks fly between the two girls that were glaring at each other. You need to lighten up, Yura-chan. Learn how to enjoy the simple things in life, Naruto said as he began to laugh. He swore he could see Tsukyun's soul trying to escape through his mouth. I think I know a way to lighten up, as you say, she said as she glanced at the blonde, who looked at her curiously. And just how are you going to do that? He asked wearily when he saw a strange gleam in her eyes. Today after school you and I will have a sparring match, she said, and if Naruto didn't know any better he would say she was smiling. What? But today is the first day of the newspaper club, he pointed out. It wasn't like he didn't enjoy a good spar, but still. So, I haven't had a good spar in ages. Who cares if we are a little late, she said with a shrug. Like she said yesterday, she thought that the clubs were a waste of time. I don't know, Yura-chan. I already got in trouble for skipping school yesterday to visit you. I don't know if I want to risk getting into more trouble, especially when it's still so early in the year, Naruto said unsurely. If Ba-chan finds out I'm goofing around, then she would kill me, he thought with a shiver. Yura frowned at his hesitance. She really wanted to spar with him. So far everyone at the school has proven themselves too weak to offer her a challenge. The only reason that the mermaids got the upper hand of her was because she pushed Amot out of the way, resulting in her getting hit with the water. The only one she has seen who could offer her a good fight was Naruto. She sighed as she realized what she had to do. She was very reluctant, but she would have to swallow her pride a bit. After all, desperate times call for desperate measures. Naruto, please, she said with a pout as she looked him in the eyes. The fact that she had called him by his name made him look at her in shock. But then when he caught sight of her pouting ... it was too much. He always knew that Yura was a beautiful girl, but he never thought he would see her look so adorable like she did at the moment. He could feel his resolve crumbling as she looked at him before he couldn't hold it in. Alright ... you win, he said in a defeated tone, but seriously, how could he say no when she was looking at him like that? Excellent, then we have an agreement, she said with an excited grin. You two aren't even dating and she has you whipped. Kurama quipped. Shut it, you oversized plushie. Naruto shot back, earning a growl from the demonic fox. What the hell did you just call me? He asked in an annoyed tone, causing Naruto to inwardly smirk. I'm sorry, did you say something? He asked, feigning innocence, laughing when he heard Kurama cursing before stomping to a corner of his cage where he would ignore the blonde. So after the last class we will meet up and have our spar. Then we will go to the clubroom. The advisor is Nekonomiya, I'm sure she will not be too upset. He heard Yura say, I guess. Come on, we better go before the late bell rings, Naruto said as he stood up, stretching a bit. Do you want or should I? Yura asked as she stepped away from the tree and pointed to the two girls who were still arguing about Sukyun. I'll go this time, he said before turning to the other three and shouted, Hey, as much as I love watching a good love triangle, we have to go to class. With that down, he placed his hands behind his head and headed to class, Yura walking by his side shaking her head. The other three following behind with blushes on their faces. End of last class. Naruto ran out of the classroom with a large smile on his face. He thought he would pass out from boredom. Why the hell did I think that going to a school would be fun? He muttered to himself as he walked through the hall looking for Yura. Quit complaining, you wanted to see the world outside of Konoha and now you can. He heard from Kurama. I know, but school ... what was I thinking? I've never been good at school. TCH, what about the friends you made here? You never would have met them if you hadn't come here, Kurama said, getting tired of his containers complaining. Guess so, Naruto admitted. Plus, didn't you just say to enjoy the simple things in life? You should follow your own advice. Besides hanging out with my friends, what could I possibly enjoy at this school? Naruto asked curiously. Are you serious? Do you not see all these hot chicks wearing short-ass skirts? Hell, what about the 3 girls you hang out with? They're easily the hottest girls at this school, especially the silver-haired one you're so close to, the fox said with a grin as Naruto blushed. What the hell is wrong with you, Uro Kitsune? What do you mean what's wrong with me? I just happen to have a keen eye when it comes to female beauty. Now hurry up and find the vampire chick, and while you're at it, see if you can cop a feel during the spar, Kurama said, laughing loud when Naruto's blush grew. Are you alright, Uzumaki? Your face is all red, Yura said as she appeared in front of him, surprising the blonde. I'm fine, he shouted, still flustered from his talk with Kurama. Yura looked at him with a raised eyebrow. Okay then, she said slowly, shall we go? She asked. Naruto nodded his head as the two made their way to an open clearing where they could spar without the prying eyes of Yura's fan club. So, you want to do this sealed or unsealed? He asked as he dropped his bag, loosened his tie and took off his blazer. We are only having a light spar, so I will fight in my sealed state, she answered as she did the same as Naruto. Shrugging, Naruto walked back a few steps in order to give a bit of a distance between the two. Well then, are we ready to go? Naruto asked as he got into a fighting stance. I think we are. Remember, it is only a simple spar. No need to break any bones, she answered as she got into her own stance. The two silently stared at each other, and then as if some silent signal went off, they simultaneously charged. Naruto started off with a simple jab aimed at her head. Yura slapped it away before hitting an open palm strike at his chin, causing him to step back. She followed with a kick, but Naruto ducked down and did a sweep kick, causing Yura to fall. She quickly rolled out of the way, avoiding a follow-up hit. Not bad, Uzumaki, she complimented with a smirk before she charged again. She went for a punch, but Naruto crossed his arms and blocked it. He grabbed her arm and kicked her sides before punching her stomach. Yura gasped for air before narrowing her eyes. With her arm that was still in his grasp, she grabbed his arm and tossed him over her shoulder, catching off guard. Naruto got back up only to receive a devastating kick to the face, sending him bouncing against the ground. He stood back up and smirked. Are you sure you're in your sealed state, cause that was damn good kick, he said as he massaged his jaw. Aren't you sweet? But flattery will get you nowhere, Yura said as she got back into her fighting stance. The two charged again and exchanged a barrage of blows and blocks. Meanwhile, newspaper club room. I would like to welcome the new members of our club. Thank you for joining, and let's begin. I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun together, Nekonomiya said with a bright smile. The room was silent as Sukyun looked from Nekonomiya to the classroom. We're the only ones here, he thought, as the only other occupants of the room were Amot and Kirimu, who were sitting on either side of him. Sensei ... are we the only members of the club? Sukyun asked, causing Nekonomiya to laugh. Don't be silly, Sukyun, of course you're not. There's also Naruto-san and Yura-san. Though, I wonder where they are, Nekonomiya informed. That's right, Yura-chan told me to tell you that they'll be a bit late, Amot said. I see, thank you for telling me, Amot-san, Nekonomiya said as the door to the classroom opened. The others were expecting their two friends but were greeted with the sight of someone else. My, how embarrassing. Late on the first day, a boy with black hair said as he offered the group a suave smile. This is the other member of our club, Nekonomiya said as she pointed to the boy who looked about a year older than the others. Hello, I am Jin Morioka, the club president. It's a pleasure to meet you. he said smiling, and if you looked close enough you could see his teeth sparkling. He looked at Sukyun first and then looked at the two girls. In an instant he was in front of them with a bouquet of roses for the both of them. Sensei told me about the new members, but she failed to mention how beautiful you two are, he said as he handed the bouquet to them. This is our president, Sukyun thought as he watched the older boy carefully. He didn't like how Jin was looking at the girls. Jin is the only second-year student that is on the club. If you have any questions, please just ask him. Nekonom explained. You can count on me, he said as he gave the group a thumbs up. Alright then, I have a staff meeting to go to, so I'll leave them in your care, Jin, the teacher said as she left the room. Alright, leave it to me, he told her before the door closed. Once the teacher was gone, he looked at the remaining 3 residents seriously and began to speak. Well, let's see. First, I'll give you the explanation of just what kind of club it is. The goal of the newspaper club is to publish the school newspaper. Most of your activity will be reporting in all kinds of things within the academy and putting them in the newspaper. We'll be put into dangerous situations time after time for the sake of reporting. I'll tell you right now, this ain't gonna be an easy ride. Once you've joined, you should prepare yourself. The others were silent as they digested what he just said. He looks like someone we can rely on, right? Amot asked as she looked at Sukyun. Yeah, I guess so, he answered a bit unsurely. Just then Jin's face broke into a smile and he chuckled. Just kidding. Let's forget about all this serious stuff and have some fun, he said as he held up a poster. This is our poster ad. I would really appreciate it if you could hang it up for me. The 3 of them nodded as they got to work. Amot and Kiramu stood on some chairs in order to hang up the poster while Sukyun was looking over the posters. He looked over at the club president who stood behind the 2 girls giving instructions. At first Jin-senpai looked like nothing but a flirt ... but it seems like he can be serious at times too, he thought before he noticed something. He looked loser and saw that as Jin was instructing the girls to hang the poster higher, he walked closer and looked up. The human's eyes widened when he realized where he was looking. He's peeking up their skirts, he thought as he ran there and stood in front of Jin to block his view. Senpai, what are you doing? How could you? Sukyun asked as he stared at him shocked. This student was supposed to guide them in the club, but this is how he's acting. What are you talking about? Jin asked innocently as he looked at the boy confused. Don't pretend that you don't know. You were definitely looking up their skirts, he accused. Why would you say that? There's no way I would do something like that, Jin said, waving a dismissive hand at him. He's lying. I definitely saw him peeping, Sukyun thought as he stared at Jin. What's going on? Amot asked. When she and Kiramu finished hanging the posters, they noticed Jin and Sukyun were having some kind of discussion. Oh, the thing is ... this guy just told me how he looked up your skirts and got a good view of your panties, Jin said as he pointed his thumb at Sukyun, whose jaw dropped. How could he blame him for the crime he just committed? What? Both girls cried with blushes on their faces. Wait, don't listen to him. It's a misunderstanding. I mean, I may have gotten an accidental peek, but it was Jin-senpai who... He tried to explain but never finished. With Naruto and Yura. Naruto was walking through the hallway with Yura by his side. Both had some light bruises and scratches but didn't really worry about it. After all, with their advanced healing abilities they will be gone in no time. I must say, Uzumaki, I am quite pleased. The spar went much better than I thought, Yura said. Easy for you to say. What happened to no broken bones? I think you dislocated my shoulder with that last axe kick you hit me with, Naruto said as he stretched his sore shoulder around. It wasn't my fault you didn't dodge. Yura shrugged. How could I dodge? When you raised your leg you gave me a good shot of what's beneath your skirt, Naruto thought with a blush. You didn't grope her like I suggested, but a panty shot is still pretty good, Kurama said through the mind link. Stop saying things like that, Oro Kitsune, Naruto shouted, causing the fox to laugh. The two made it to the club room and were about to enter when the door suddenly opened. They watched with raised brows as a fuming Amot and Kiramu stormed past them without so much as a glance. They looked at the departing girls and then inside, seeing Sukyun, who had a red handprint on both cheeks with a laughing black-haired boy next to him. What just happened? Naruto asked. The black-haired boy looked at them and his eyes widened when he saw Yura. Naruto noticed a strange gleam in the boy's eyes as he looked at the silver-haired girl. The same gleam he noticed whenever Jiraiya had some sort of perverted thought. Nothing really, this guy just got caught peeking up the girl's skirts, he said before Sukyun could say something. Sukyun was about to say something in his defense, but the temperature in the room suddenly dropped. He did what? Yura growled as her glowing red eyes glared at the frightened boy. He was going to die. There was no question about it. He knew how protective Yura was of Amot, and now he was going to die. His thoughts were confirmed by her next sentence. I'll kill you, she shouted as she lounged at the boy. How dare this human peek at her sister? Before she got too far, Naruto wrapped his arms around her waist and pulled her back. Calm down, Yura-chan, Naruto shouted, trying to calm the girl down. Release me this instant, Uzumaki. I will teach this pervert a lesson, Yura shouted as she tried to escape from his grasp. Hey kid, look at that other one real quick, he heard Kurama say. Confused, Naruto did as instructed, but still made sure he had a tight grip on Yura to make sure she didn't kill Sukyun. Because Sukyun was too frightened and Yura was too angry, Naruto was the only one to notice. Jin was looking at the two of them with narrowed eyes. More specifically, he was looking at the arms that were wrapped around Yura's waist. It was a look Naruto knew pretty well, the look of jealousy. The same look he had himself when he still loved Sakura, but the only thing she cared about was Sasuke. Better keep a close on this one, kid, Hirama warned, and Naruto silently agreed before looking at the struggling girl in his arms. Yura-chan, calm down. How do you think Amo-chan will feel if you killed her friend? He asked as he vampire began to calm down. To ch, let me go, Uzumaki. I will not harm Sukyun ... this time, she said, and Naruto carefully let her go. Well then, now that that's over, let me introduce myself. I am the club president Jin, he said as he pulled a bouquet of roses out of nowhere and handed it to Yura. Yura just stared at him blankly, and without even looking at the bouquet she turned to Naruto. I'm going to find Amot. You can stay here if you wish, she told him, and Naruto noticed the look of jealousy in Jin's eyes again. It looked like he didn't like being ignored by Yura. Alright then, I'll see you tomorrow then, Naruto said, and she nodded before leaving the club room. After a moment of silence, Jin finally spoke. Well, since most of the club has left, I guess we can call it a day. I'll see you guys tomorrow, Jin said as he left the boys in the room. Alright then, Sukyun, why don't you tell me what actually happened? Naruto suggested as he crossed his arms and listened to Sukyun explain what really happened. Next day, I don't like perverts, Amot said before she walked away. Sukyun, who was trying to explain himself, stood there frozen in place. Finally coming out of his stupor, he tried to follow her. Please listen to me, Amot-san. It's not what it looks like, Sukyun pleaded. I don't care, just go away, she said as she ran away. Watching them from a distance, Naruto sighed. How come it always seems like those two are fighting? Naruto asked. I'm not sure, but it does seem to be happening quite often. Yura agreed. I did not sign up for all this drama when I enrolled here, Naruto complained, wondering what he and Yura would have to do as time to get those two on the same page again. There's no use crying about it now. Come on, we better leave before we are late, Yura suggested. Nodding his head, Naruto slung his arm over her shoulders and the two began to walk. Watch out for Jin, he said quietly. There was no telling when someone could just be eavesdropping. You think so too? Yura asked just as quietly. Yeah, when I looked at him yesterday he had this strange look in his eyes, Naruto said as she nodded. Yes, I can also feel that he is hiding his strength. I do not know how strong he actually is, but it would be best to be cautious around him, Yura advised. Watching the scene from afar, Jin smirked when he watched how Amot wouldn't give Sukyun the time of day. But the smirk fell and he glared when he saw how close Naruto and Yura seemed. He even growled a little when he saw the blonde put his arm over her shoulders. Jin put on a charming smile as he walked over to a pair of girls. Excuse me ladies, but would you mind if I ask you a question? He asked politely. What do you want? One of the girls asked. Well, you see that Sukyun is always hanging around Amot-san. Are they dating? He asked. No one knows for sure, but they don't really match right. I mean, she's really beautiful while he's just so average, the girl said. But there are rumors saying that people have seen Amot-san kissing his neck, so maybe they are dating, her friend added, causing Jin's eyes to widen. I see. What about Naruto-san and Yura-san? Those two seem awfully friendly towards each other, he said as the girls adopted a thinking expression. Well, Yura-san doesn't really like to hang out with others, one of the girls said. Yeah, besides her sister, the only person she really talks to is Naruto-san. Those two are really close. Naruto-san is probably the only one that Yura-san allows so close to her, he friend added as Jin began to grit his teeth. Amot-san kisses his neck. Yura-san lets him be so close but wouldn't even say hi to me, Jin muttered under his breath as the two girls looked at him oddly. Unable to take it anymore, he began to pull his hair and screamed in frustration. You have got to be kidding me. What's so special about those two? Why are they so close to those two goddesses? He screamed into the sky. Oh God, he's insane, one of the girls shouted as they ran away from Jin. He took some deep breaths in order to calm himself. Mark my words, you two. I don't care who you are, but the Akashiya twins will be mine, Jin declared as he walked away, thinking of a plan to win the hearts of Amot and Yura. Naruto and Yura separated as they had to go to different classes. As he was whistling a simple tune, he noticed a familiar head of sky blue hair. Hey there, Kuramu-chan, Naruto greeted. Naruto, how are you? She asked with a smile. Pretty good. So what's going on? You look like you're searching for something, Naruto asked as he watched her lower her head. I was looking for Tsukyun-kun. Yesterday I jumped to conclusions without letting him explain. Then when I thought about it, I realized that he doesn't really seem like the type to peep on girls, she explained solemnly, causing Naruto to smile. Relax, I'm sure he'd be more than willing to forgive you, he reassured her, making her brighten up. You really think so? She asked hopefully. Positive, he said, laughing when she hugged him. Thank you, I feel better now. But I still have to find him, she said as she began to look around the hall. There he is, Naruto said as he pointed to a depressed-looking Sukyun who was dragging his feet through the halls. Perfect. Hey Tsuku, she started to call but was stopped when Naruto placed a hand over her mouth. He dragged her to one of the corridors where they could hide and removed his hand. What are you doing? She asked, annoyed, but he just shushed her. They looked over and saw that Jin had approached Sukyun. Kuramu-chan, follow us from a distance while I stay with Sukyun, Naruto ordered, getting a confused frown from the succubus. Why? What's going on? There's just something about this Jin that Yura-chan and I don't like. We have to be careful around him, he answered, making Kuramu agree. Besides, if both Yura and Naruto found something odd about their president, then something was definitely up. With that said, Naruto walked over to the two boys. Hey there, Tsukyun Jin-san. Naruto greeted. Naruto, I was looking for you too. I was just telling Sukyun here that today's club meeting will be outside. Since we're all here, why don't we head off now? Jin suggested with a friendly smile. I guess so, Sukyun said with a frown. He was still mad about what Jin did the other day. Naruto took a quick glance over his shoulder and saw that Kirimu was watching them carefully. Sure thing, he said as the two of them followed Jin until they were outside. Why the hell are we here? Naruto asked as he looked at their surroundings. Aren't we just at the back of the school? Why would we have a club meeting here? Sukyun asked. You two need to relax. The others will be here soon, Jin said with his usual friendly smile plastered on his face. By the way, Amot-san was pretty pissed off yesterday, huh? He asked Sukyun good-naturedly. Yeah, she won't talk to me at all, he growled out as he glared at the president who didn't seem bothered by it at all. Sorry about that, he said, but it was clear that he wasn't as he looked at Naruto. And then there's Yura-san. She didn't even acknowledge me yesterday. It broke my heart. What can I say? She either likes you or she doesn't, Naruto said with a shrug. He looked up and saw Kirimu watching them from the roof. Good, so far so good. If they kept this up, then they could figure out Jin's plan sooner or later. Well, now that we're here, I need you to look at the window over there, Jin instructed as he pointed at the window he wanted them to see. Why, shouldn't we wait for the girls? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. For a split second, worry crept into Jin's eyes before it vanished. They'll be here, but we don't have to delay the meeting just for them. We can catch them up on things, he said as if it were no big deal. Watching him carefully, Sukyun finally nodded and stood on a nearby crate so he could reach the window. You know what's weird? Amot-san and Yura-san are much better than what I heard. Who knows, I think I'm falling in love with both of them. Weird, huh? He said casually. Sukyun and Naruto looked at him, not expecting that. I swear that I will make them my women, he promised with a smug smile. Why is he telling us this? Sukyun thought. What's his game? Naruto wondered. Sukyun was about to ask Jin what he meant when he heard a sound coming from the other side of the window. When he looked through, his face grew bright red as he looked at a group of girls undressing. Jin-senpai ... this is, he tried to say as he turned his head and paled when he saw a camera in Jin's hand. Girls' changing room. I know, he said, smirking as he showed him the picture he took of Sukyun looking through the window. Hey, look, a pervert, Naruto shouted. The others were surprised and Jin was about to run for it when he tripped on his feet. He looked down and saw that his feet were tied with some kind of wire. Naruto quickly drew a kunai from inside his blazer and threw it at the camera, breaking it 2 pieces. He heard some shuffling from the girls' changing room and acted quickly. He grabbed Sukyun's arm and threw him into the air. He followed by jumping off the wall so he could reach the roof before the girls could see him. Damn it, when did this get here? Jin asked himself as he tried to get the wire off his legs when a shadow spread over him. He looked up and paled when he saw a group of angry girls glaring at him. Now ladies ... this is actually a pretty funny story. He tried to explain, but it fell on deaf ears and he was forced to feel the wrath of angry females. From above, Naruto watched with a smirk as Jin's screams of pain filled the air. Thank you, Naruto, Sukyun said as he was being held by Kirimu, who was flying above. No problem. Thanks for helping us, Kirimu-chan, Naruto added, giving her a thumbs up. Anytime, Kirimu smiled as she gave a victory sign. Later on that night, a bruised and beaten Jin stomped through the school grounds. His eyes scanned through the crowd of students until he found who he was looking for. Glaring at the blonde, he marched over to Naruto and grabbed his shoulder. Ah, Jin-senpai, so nice to see you, he said with a cheeky grin as Jin's eye began to twitch. I must admit those were some nice moves you pulled off, Jin said with a frown. What can I say? I've always been a bit of a fighter, Naruto said with a shrug. Listen, I think you and I can be great friends. All you have to do is stay out of my way so that I can get the Akashiyas. What do you say? Jin said, causing Naruto to roll his eyes. You honestly think that I'll just stand by while you do who knows what to my friends just because you asked? Naruto asked, shaking his head. I thought so. It looks like the only way to settle this is the old-fashioned way. Right now, you and me on the roof. Whatever, Naruto said as he followed Jin to the roof. With the others. And that's what happened. I swear I wasn't trying to peep at you, Amot-san, Sukyun said honestly as he explained what happened the other day. It's true, Amot-chan. Earlier today I watched as Jin-senpai tried to trick them into peeping and then taking a picture as blackmail. If it wasn't for Naruto's quick thinking, it probably would have worked. Kirimu added. I'm sorry for not listening, Sukyun, Amot said with shame. Sukyun was her first real friend and she wouldn't even listen as he tried to explain himself. It seems like she could be as stubborn as her sister. It's okay, Amot-san. I'm just glad we're okay again, Sukyun said with a smile, earning a smile from the pink-haired girl. Now that we have all made up, what are we going to do about Jin? Yura interrupted. I'm not sure ... He seemed pretty obsessed with you too, Sukyun said as he pointed to the vampires. Why is it that you always get the attention? Kirimu complained with a pout. I already told you that I do not like this sort of attention, Yura shouted as her eye twitched in annoyance. Now's not the time to fight with each other, Amot said, trying to stop another fight from happening. Sukyun's sweat dropped as he watched the girls argue when he noticed someone missing. Yura-san, where's Naruto? He asked. How should I know? She asked with a raised eyebrow. Because you two are always together. It's like you two are attached at the hip or something, Kuramu answered. The only reason we are attached at the hip like you say is because he is an idiot that doesn't understand the concept of personal space. She huffed as she crossed her arms. Yeah, but it doesn't look like you mind. In fact, if I had to guess I'd say you rather enjoy it. Kuramu said, smirking when she noticed Yura blushing lightly. I'm not sure what you are implying, but I warn you, succubus, watch how you speak to me or you will pay. Yura said with a glare. Let's not fight. Beside Yura-chan, it's alright if you enjoy spending time with Naruto. Amot added, but instead of helping it made Yura's blush deepen. Who says I enjoy spending time with him? She yelled in annoyance. Seriously, why were they talking about her strange association with Naruto? Maybe we should focus at the problem at hand. Like where Naruto is or what we are going to do about Jin-senpai. Sukyun said, hoping to stop the teasing before Yura loses her temper. Well, after the way Naruto tricked Jin-senpai, I'd say he would want some sort of revenge. Kuramu suggested. Do you think he would want to fight him or try to hurt him? Amot asked, worried about her friend. Possibly, but would Naruto do something foolish like walk into Jin-senpai's trap and fight him head-on? Sukyun asked. It was only quite for a second before Yura spoke up. Let's go find him. Knowing Naruto, he's already fighting that idiot president, she said as she began to walk away. The others looked at each other before nodding and followed after her. Rooftop, you sure you want to do this? Naruto asked as he stared at the boy in front of him. Jin just ignored him and chose to stare at the moon instead. You know, the moon really is beautiful. Whenever I see it I usually get a little wild. Especially when it's full like now, Jin said with a smirk revealing a sharp canine-like tooth. I really don't have time for this. Let's just get this over with, Naruto said as he got into a fighting stance. I couldn't agree with you more. Once you're out of the way I'll take care of Sukyun. Then the Akashiyas will be mine. Now tremble in fear, he roared as his body began to transform. His body was soon covered in fur, his face took the shape similar to a dog's and his hands became razor-sharp claws. Once he was done he released a howl into the air before smirking at the blonde who was silent. That's right, I'm the legendary werewolf. Looks like he's too frightened to move let alone fight. Jin thought smugly. Wow. So your true form is an oversized dog? Naruto asked as he tilted his head causing the wolf to fall over anime style. I'm a wolf, not a dog, he growled in annoyance. Whatever, let's go, Naruto shouted as he ran towards the wolf. He delivered a punch but only met air. Where on earth are you aiming at? I'm over here, Jin taunted from behind before kicking the blonde. Naruto stood up in time to feel the impact of a knee in his stomach before he was punched in his face. What's wrong? I thought we were here to fight, so why are you just standing around? Jin taunted as he kicked Naruto in the side followed by an upward slash cutting his cheek. Wind Claw, Naruto said as his hands became covered with wind chakra making them more claw-like. He moved his head in time to avoid another punch and slashed Jin across the chest. Jin stumbled back and Naruto followed through with a roundhouse kick at the wolf's head sending him flying, but Jin grabbed the railing before he fell off the roof. This seems unfair. Last time you got to fight the mermaids and now you get to fight this dog, they heard a voice say. They looked at the roof leading to the roof and saw that it was open with Yura walking out followed by the others. Hey guys, what's going on? Naruto asked as he kept a careful watch on Jin who was staring at the twins with a look of lust. I think we should be asking you that question, Yura said as she walked over to him. Last time she was forced to watch as Naruto fought for them all and she was not about to let that happen again. Suddenly a bright light from behind them flashed. They turned to see Amot in her released form, her Rosario in Sukyun's hand. Her pink hair grew a silver streak, her eyes turned a light shade of red with slitted pupils and her hands became more claw-like. Seeing their questioning looks she smiled. I might not be as strong as you two, but that doesn't mean I'm helpless. This guy tried to turn me against Sukyun and he's after me too. This is just as much my fight as it is yours, she explained. Just be careful, Amot, Yura said with a smirk before turning to Naruto, and if you would be so kind, I would appreciate it if you removed my Rosario Uzumaki. This was supposed to be a one-on-one fight between me and the mutt, but I'd rather avoid the wrath of two angry females, he said as he pulled of her Rosario. A wave of Yoki filled the air as her pupils transformed into slits, her fangs became more pronounced and her hands were now like claws. So the rumors are true, you two really are vampires. But it's pointless. When it comes to speed, we werewolves are unbeatable. All the power in the world is useless if you can't hit your opponent, Jin shouted as he became a blur, circling the three of them. So this is the speed of a werewolf. I must admit it is impressive, Yura thought as she had trouble following his movements. I can't see him. He's really fast, Amot thought as she looked around. Let's see. He's not as fast as Lee is without his weights, but it's still pretty impressive. All I have to do is get him to hold still, but how? Stupid perverted wolf, Naruto thought before his eyes widened and he grinned. That's it, Yura-chan, Amot-chan, I have a plan. When I get him to stand still, you two go for the kill, Naruto said. Very well, Yura said, wondering what he had planned. You can count on us, Naruto, Amot added. What's the matter? Have you decided to give up and accept that you two will be mine? Jin said with a feigned grin. I hope you're ready, Aroma, because here I go. Uzumaki Forbidden Arts, he said as he made a hand sign. Forbidden Arts, how interesting, Yura thought as she watched on. Forbidden, that means it's really strong, right? Sukyun thought, wondering how Naruto knew such a move. Probably, I mean it has to be forbidden for a reason, right? Kiramu asked wide-eyed, wondering what kind of attack Naruto knew that it was forbidden. Sexy technique, Naruto said as a cloud of smoke surrounded him. Jin appeared in front of him and was about to finish him off but froze when the smoke disappeared. Standing in front of him was a naked girl with large breasts, her blonde hair tied into pigtails, and the only thing covering her modesty was the residual smoke. "You're not going to hurt me, are you, Jin-sama?" a girl asked with wide tear-filled eyes. Sukyun fainted from a massive noseblood while the girls blushed furiously. "What are you waiting for?" the girl asked, snapping them back to attention. Yura looked and saw that Jin was in a daze as he stared goofily at the naked girl in front of him. Seeing this as an opening, she moved. "Let's go, Amot," Yura said as she ran towards the wolf. "Right," Amot shouted as she followed her sister. The girl transformed to reveal a grinning Naruto who jumped back right at the moment Yura appeared in front of Jin while Amot was behind him. "Know your place," they both said as they attacked. Amot smiled in satisfaction when she felt her kick hit the back of Jin's head hard, while Yura had a sadistic smirk when her kick connected with Jin's groin. Jin's eyes widened so much that it looked like they would fall out at any moment while he opened his mouth to scream in pain, but no sound would come out. The girl stepped away as Jin fell to his knees. Without warning, the rest of his body crashed to the ground, unable to stand the pain, and passed out. "Huh, it looks like we win," Naruto shouted as he pumped his fist into the air. His joy was short-lived though, as he received a kick to the head that sent him crashing into the roof's door. "What the hell?" he asked groggily as he held his head in pain. He looked up to see Yura glaring at him, and he gulped in fear as she walked over to him. "What happened?" Naruto asked as he stared into her eyes. He could have sworn he saw his whole life flash before him when he saw the anger in them. "What the hell was that?" she asked angrily. "What was what?" he asked, only to yelp in fear when she grabbed the front of his shirt and slammed him against the door that was still intact somehow. "That transformation thing you did," she said as everyone except Naruto blushed, remembering what he did to keep Jin from moving. "Oh, that was the first technique I ever created. It's the ultimate anti-pervert technique," Naruto said with pride. "Well, other than the harem technique, that is," he thought, but noticed that dark aura around Yura. "Never use that technique when I am around her, so help me," she said, trailing off in the end, but Naruto had a pretty good idea of what she meant. "Yes, ma'am," he said, nodding his head frantically. "Good," she said as he let go of him. She was about to leave when she caught the scent of something. She breathed in the scent and was mesmerized by it. She looked around and she found his source. Right on Naruto's cheek was a cut he got from Jin's claws, with a rail of blood falling from it. "You okay, Yura-chan?" Naruto asked, wondering why she wasn't moving. In fact, based on the look of her eyes, she seemed to be in some sort of trance. Yura didn't hear him though. The scent of his blood was blocking her other senses. She took a step towards the blonde, their faces extremely close together. Without thinking, she stuck her tongue out and gently licked a bit of the blood on his cheek. "Yura-chan, what's going?" Naruto started, but the words died in his throat when he felt Yura lick his cheek. He didn't know what to think, but he felt his face heat up at the unexpected action. Yura didn't seem to notice this, however, as she tasted his blood and her eyes widened. In layman's term, the taste was magnificent. She had never tasted blood like this before, and she wanted more. She took another lick and savored the taste of the blood. The whole time Naruto was blushing up a storm. Once she finished the last of the blood on his cheek, she trailed her tongue along his cut. Naruto wasn't sure what he should do. Never in his life was he in this kind of position. He felt Yura press her body onto his as she began to moan softly. It seemed like his blood had quite the effect on her. Finally she stopped and she took a step back. He looked at her face and saw that her eyes were a bit glazed. "Yura-chan, why you okay and now?" Naruto stuttered, snapping her out of her trance. Yura blinked a few times as she stared at him until her eyes widened in realization. She backed up a bit as her face practically erupted in flames. It was so red. She looked around and her embarrassment grew when she saw the others looking at them with slack jaws and wide eyes. She tried to say something, but every time she opened her mouth it just closed, unable to think of anything. "Sorry," she finally mumbled before leaving the roof, leaving a confused, hot and slightly aroused blonde wondering what the hell just happened. He was about to ask the others but stopped when a thought entered his mind and he groaned. There was no way Kurama was going to let him live this down. Next day, Yura leaned against the railing of the roof as she watched the newspaper club hand out their first paper. It was an article revealing the perverted actions of Jin and how the female population of the school should be wary of him. As a part of the club, she should be helping them, but she couldn't face anyone. Not after they saw what she did. How could she lose control of herself and let her instincts take over? She knew that the succubus would never shut up about this, and knowing how Naruto loved to tease her, she had a feeling he would be mentioning the little incident often. "Damn it, ... you always seem to find a way to give me a headache, Uzumaki." Yura sighed as she messaged her temples. "Now that's just mean. I haven't even said a thing yet," she heard a voice from behind say. She turned around to see Naruto walking towards her with his hands behind his head and a grin on his face. "What do you want, Uzumaki?" Yura asked as she looked back at the view from the roof. "So mean, Yura-chan. You don't even say hi to me." "Uncrushed," Naruto said as he walked forward until he was standing next to her. There was a moment of silence until Yura finally spoke. "Is there a reason you're here?" she asked without looking at him. "Well, none of us have seen you today, and when you didn't arrive to help hand out the papers, we got a little worried, so I went to search for you," he explained. "I just wanted to be alone so I can think," she said, still not looking at her. "Is it because of yesterday?" he asked and was awarded with the sight of Yura's blushing face. I have already apologized. I let my instincts get the best of me, she said, hoping to drop it, but what he said next shocked her. I don't mind, you know, he said so casually that she almost didn't understand. When his words registered, she looked at him wide-eyed. What? Was the only thing she could say. I mean, yeah, at first I was a little freaked out, but that was because I didn't expect it. I talked to Amo-chan afterwards and she explained what happens when vampires catch the scent of blood. That sometimes they just can't control it. Last night was one of those times, I guess, he explained as he looked at her. Thank you for not making a big deal out of this, she said, relieved, and Naruto nodded. He knew she was a very proud girl, and to do something like that in front of the others must have really embarrassed her. You know, if you really want to, I have no problem with letting you suck my blood, he told her as she was once again shocked by his words. What? She asked dumbly, and Naruto couldn't help but chuckle at her gobsmacked expression. You're a vampire, you need blood. I understand, and I have no problem if you want to suck my blood like Amo-chan does with Tsukyun, he explained. Why would you do that? She asked. Because you're a chan, you are my friend, and there isn't anything I wouldn't do for my friend, he said with a grin. She looked at him to see if this was a trick, but only found honesty. She allowed a small smile to grace her face. Thank you, I'm glad I have a friend like you, Naruto, Yura said, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow. So are you going to say kapuchu before you suck my blood like Amo-chan does? I have to admit that would be pretty cute, Naruto said, causing Yura to roll her eyes. Of course he would say something stupid that would ruin the moment, but then again, he wouldn't be Naruto if he didn't. The two of them left the roof and headed to meet the rest of their friends to help with the club, and if you listen carefully, you could hear the screams of pain from Jin as the female students who read the article unleash their wrath on the wolf. Okay, sadly the chapter is over, and if you enjoyed, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.